Chapter 2985. What's going on? Why is there such a huge commotion? All the cultivators of Shanwu world who weren't in seclusion were shocked. Many of them gathered together and asked in shock. There's a commotion in the Du family's ancestral hall. It must be related to the Rock Emperor. Some of the cultivators sensed the commotion and said immediately. Their voices were filled with excitement. The Rock Emperor. Is the Rock Emperor about to wake up? It's been thousands of years. The Rock Emperor is finally moving. The Rock Emperor must be about to wake up. He's about to reappear. This time, the Rock Emperor will definitely be able to step into the realm of the strongest. All the living beings who heard the news were extremely excited. Countless people spread the news and shared the joy in their hearts. Shenwu world hadn't had such a huge commotion in a long time, at least after the Rock Emperor was ambushed by the demon ancestor and returned to this world. Shenwu world had been very peaceful, but today the entire world went berserk. The terrifying pillar of lightning stood between the sky and the Du family's ancestral hall. It was impossible not to associate it with the Rock Emperor. Everyone believed that Du Xiaofu was about to wake up, and from the terrifying commotion, he must be going to an even more terrifying realm, overlooking the world. It's been thousands of years. The Rock Emperor has only been cultivating for a little over 10,000 years. The living beings of Shanwu world had waited for this day for far too long. Everyone rushed towards the direction of the barren country. They wanted to see how the Rock Emperor would be able to stand tall in this world once again. However, many people didn't notice a strange phenomenon. The cultivators who were in seclusion weren't awakened by the commotion. They were still quietly cultivating. It was as if their consciousness was completely sealed and they couldn't sense anything. Of course, some of the more observant cultivators noticed this but didn't say anything. They only wanted to get to the desolate country as soon as possible and witness the arrival of a miracle. They didn't have the time to care about this. Rumble, the lightning was swift and violent. It struck the Du family's ancestral hall and formed a terrifying pillar of light that covered almost half of the desolate country. This lightning was formed from strange patterns, but it didn't carry any destructive energy. Instead, it was gentle and warm. Everyone in the desolate country felt like they were bathing in the spring breeze. In reality, this lightning was formed from thousands of Tao. It was the foundation of Shanwu world. But at this moment, it was visible to the naked eye. It turned into lightning, and at the Du family's ancestral hall, that little black dot hidden in the middle of the lightning, it was hidden in the middle, was on the lightning. After it. Du Xiaofu is Du Xiaofu. Du on. Come. Immediately after that, an indescribable aura suddenly spread out in all directions in this world. It was as if an invisible opportunity had been opened between heaven and earth. All the living beings in Shanwu world felt like they were getting closer to the deepest truths of the Tao. This feeling was strange and made everyone happy. Rumble. Just then, somewhere in the desolate country's royal palace, there was a loud rumble. Along with it, endless power of laws boiled and tumbled. Thousands of strands of laws danced in the void. Then, these strands of laws gathered together and began to merge and evolve. It was as if a small world had appeared, containing everything in it. Meditative forgetfulness. Little Xingxing has broken through. Other than Xiaofu, Shanwu world finally has its first meditative forgetfulness realm, cultivator. Murong Yurua Iwuming, and the others sensed this and shouted in joy. At this time, their cultivations were also very high, and they could clearly sense some of the traces within. Everyone found that under the entanglement of Tao, the aura of the Tao was condensed. This was the sign of breaking through to the meditative forgetfulness realm. Once a trace of the Tao's origin power was condensed, the meditative forgetfulness realm would be complete. Iwuming, Morong Yurua, and the others were just about to rejoice, but they soon realized that they had rejoiced too early. Rumble, rumble, rumble. After the first rumble, the whole world seemed to have entered the New Year's Eve. Loud rumbles burst out one after another, rising and falling one after another. Dozens and hundreds of sounds connected together. It was as if a terrifying cannon had exploded, causing the sky to tremble and the world to tremble. It's Xiaojing and Du Xiaoyao, Little Ba, Little Lin, Little Huang, Yunlong, Iwuming, and the others were all stunned. It was as if they had been electrocuted by lightning. They all stood in the huge, open space of the desolate country, their eyes dazed. As these rumbles descended, they were all the same as before. Along with the vast power of Tao, they were all fusing together, giving birth to the aura of the Tao. Without a doubt, this was the manifestation of the experts breaking through to the meditative forgetfulness realm. Du Xiaojing, Du Xiaoyao, Du Tingxian, Du Yunlong, Zhen Qingchen, Jiaoju, Du Xiaoba, Du Xiaohuang, Du Xiaolin, Yi Piaoling, Qingguyu, and the others. These experts had all broken through to the meditative forgetfulness realm at the same time. Ancient Heaven Sect, Hahuan School, Great Snow Mountain, Divine Temple, Beast Alliance, Saman Sword Sect, Sky Thunder Fortress. All of them have people who have reached the meditative forgetfulness realm. Many people were stunned. The terrifying movements coming from all over the world were too conspicuous. The vast power of Tao surged and shot into the sky, making it difficult for people to ignore. In just a short period of time, terrifying scenes appeared all over the divine martial world, shocking everyone. In the past, the 3 continents, Kyushu, and the other regions of divine martial world all had people who had reached the meditative forgetfulness realm at the same time. Even though there weren't many of these experts in each force, and they couldn't compare to the Huang country. But when added together, there were almost 100 of them. This was an extremely terrifying power that was hard to believe. To know that there were only a few meditative forgetfulness realm cultivators in each of the 33 geniuses. Adding them all together, there were only a few hundred. But now, over 100 meditative forgetfulness realm cultivators had appeared in divine martial world. Divine martial world is really going to rise. Iwuming mumbled. His old but energetic face was stunned like a wooden chicken. The change this time caused him to feel incomparably shocked. But this wasn't the end. Under the perception of countless people, there were still violent bursts of energy shooting out from all over the world, as if they were resonating with the hundreds of meditative forgetfulness realm cultivators. Layers upon layers of Tao energy appeared and intertwined with each other, like fog rising from the ground. Immortal realm. Many people are breaking through to the immortal realm. Some of the cultivators were shocked. It wasn't hard for them to realize that the Tao energy around the world was boiling. Many living beings who were in isolation were breaking through to the immortal realm. Not only that, even those who weren't in isolation, but were stuck at the peak of the true severing realm, were breaking through to the immortal realm. Comparatively speaking, the appearance of a large number of immortal realm cultivators wasn't as shocking as the appearance of hundreds of meditative forgetfulness realm cultivators. But what was undeniable was that these people were going to become the cornerstone of divine martial world. They were going to be the backbone of this world. Xiaofu, my disciple! The change in divine martial world was shocking, and it shocked all the cultivators in the Huang country. But there was only one person who didn't care about this, and that was Yu Yuqian. The old man had been standing guard outside the Du family's ancestral hall. When the world had just changed, he had rushed to the front of the door. His old eyes shone brightly as he stared motionlessly at the tightly shut door. In Yu Yuqian's eyes, there was only Du Xiaofu. He only hoped that his disciple would wake up. Endless amounts of Tao energy swirled around, and like lightning, it surrounded Yu Yuqian's body. He stared at the Du clan's ancestral shrine, ready to welcome Du Xiaofu's awakening. Inside the terrifying energy, many people felt their strength increasing at a steady pace. This increase wasn't huge, and they weren't able to break through the barrier between realms like other cultivators, but it was still terrifying. After thousands of years, the Huang country once again became a place of opportunity. The cultivators of divine martial world all came here with the mentality of a pilgrimage. They couldn't feel it, but they knew one thing very well. That was that inside the Du clan's ancestral shrine, an unimaginable change was happening. Reality was just as many cultivators thought. When the little black dot in the lightning connected with Du Xiaofu's life force, the two of them seemed to have the same origin and quickly merged together. Following the arrival of the little black, Du Xiaofu's life force suddenly released a terrifying amount of energy, and it lit up with a blinding amount of light. This light was like a sharp sword, carrying with it a horrifying amount of killing intent. It pierced through the blood-colored energy that surrounded the life force. The demon ancestor's primal chaos origin, under the illumination of the light, was like snow in a pot of boiling water. In a split second, it began to melt and disappear. After a few hours, all the blood-colored energy, under the attack of the bright light, turned into nothingness. Thick black smoke came out, and then it completely disappeared. Who am I? Where am I? What am I doing? The moment the demon ancestor's primal chaos origin disappeared, Du Xiaofu's consciousness immediately returned and asked the three questions of his soul. I am Du Xiaofu. In just a few moments, all the memories flooded him like water and drowned him. Everything that happened in the 18 levels of hell, he remembered everything. BZZZ, BZZZ, BZ. After Du Xiaofu's consciousness returned, he sorted out his current state a little. He didn't need to think too much and directly began to transfer his strength to quickly recover. Whoosh, 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 between the heaven and earth of Shenwu world. It was as if a storm was brewing. Boundless amounts of energy howled, brushed against the ground, and rushed towards the direction of the Huang country. Very quickly, above the Du family's ancestral temple, a giant whirlpool appeared. It swallowed everything and was sucked into Du Xiaofu. Crack, crack, crack! Outside the ancestral shrine, the array formation that Lu Xiaoyu had laid down was filled with heavenly materials sent over by the powerhouses of the 33 heavens. At this time, these treasures began to break apart one by one. The powerful energy within them flowed out and entered the Du family's ancestral temple. In a short period of time, half of the treasures lost their luster and turned into dust. All of their energy was gone. Xiaofu! Seeing this scene, Yu Yuqian, who was outside the ancestral temple, was shocked. Then, a look of ecstasy appeared on his face. So many treasures had been placed here by Lu Xiaoyu for Du Xiaofu to recover after he woke up. Wasn't this scene a sign that Du Xiaofu had begun to awaken and needed a huge amount of energy to recover his strength? Thinking of this, Yu Yuqian did not hesitate and took out his Qinkuan bag. Crash, crash, crash! Immediately, treasures piled up in front of the ancestral temple. With a light wave of his arm, these treasures shot out and entered the array. After many treasures entered, they all exploded in a moment, turning into the purest energy that gathered in the huge vortex. Quick! Open the treasury and take out all the treasures. Soon, Iwuming and Murong Yurua also noticed this scene. They had also been paying attention to Du Xiaofu's movements. When they saw this scene, they immediately gave the order, and the desolate country's experts all took action. A large number of treasures were taken out and thrown into the array set up by Lu Xiaoyu. They shattered and turned into energy that gathered in the whirlpool. Iwuming and the others did not feel the pinch. As the strongest force in this world, the desolate country had collected countless treasures that were constantly being taken out. As long as Du Xiaofu could recover, these investments were nothing. No matter how many treasures there were, they could not be compared to the life of the purple-robed youth. The Rock Emperor is about to recover. We should help. At this time, countless experts had gathered in the desolate country. When they saw the actions of the experts here, they naturally understood what they were doing. The divine battle world had long been united. During the great calamity of the devil religion, the desolate country was the leader. Later on, this place became the holy land for all living things. As long as Du Shaofu existed, as long as the living things that had survived the calamity did not die, this world would have the strongest cohesive force. Experts arrived at the Stone City, one after another. The streets could not be squeezed, and many people simply floated in the air. They all took out their chinkuan bags. After taking out some important items, they did not even look at them and directly poured out the treasures inside. The treasures poured out and were all devoured by the array. Some creatures were even more straightforward and directly threw their chinkuan bags into the array. Boom, boom, boom! The Du family's ancestral hall was in an uproar. The place had become a sea of energy, vast and vigorous energy surging. Under the devouring of the whirlpool, all the energy was sucked into it and turned into the energy that Du Shaofu needed. Retreat and wait for the Rock Emperor to return. After many creatures contributed their treasures, they all retreated to make room for the people behind them. Everyone was paying attention to the Du family's ancestral hall. They were extremely excited and excited. They wanted to see the young man in purple fly up into the sky and reappear before them. The desolate country could be described as being overcrowded. Not only were there people on the ground, even the air was filled with people. From afar, it looked like a huge flock of birds. However, even though the number of treasures they took out was enormous, they didn't even last for a day before they were all used up. Du Shaofu was originally heavily wounded. His physical body was disintegrating and his primordial spirit was almost destroyed. The amount of energy he needed to recover right now was unimaginable. After all the treasures turned into dust, the array began to devour the unparalleled energy from heaven and earth. The spiritual energy in the divine battle world was turbulent and the scene was terrifying. The Du family's ancestral hall was like a bottomless pit that continued to devour the energy as if there was no end to it. If things continued to develop like this, the foundation of this world would be shaken as time passed and unimaginable changes would occur. But right now, no one cared about this. As long as the Rock Emperor can return, they can just move to the 33 heavens or the 3,000 boundless worlds. However, Du Shaofu, who was inside the stone coffin, would not allow this to happen. After absorbing all the energy, his physical body had been reconstructed and was lying quietly inside the stone coffin. Du Shaofu finally felt that the stone coffin that was passed down in the Du family had a secret that he couldn't imagine before. Under his senses, the stone coffin was faintly connected to the entire world. It was like the center of the divine battle world, the foundation of this world. How is this a stone coffin? This is an object formed by the laws of the Tao. Du Shaofu was shocked from the bottom of his heart. This wasn't the first time he laid inside this stone coffin, but today was the first time he saw such a secret. The stone coffin was far too extraordinary. Under his gaze, it was formed by lines and lines that resonated strongly with heaven and earth. It was as if as long as he could control the stone coffin, he could control everything in the divine battle world. At this time, if he still believed that this object was left behind by the Du family's ancestor with the heaven's path, he wouldn't believe it even if he was beaten to death. There must be an even more extraordinary origin for this object. But right now, Du Shaofu couldn't figure out who made this. Since he could not figure it out, Du Shaofu stopped thinking about it. Inside the stone coffin, Du Shaofu gently closed his eyes. I need to finish carving my Tao in one go. He sighed softly, feeling that the energy in his body was nearing its peak. He stopped absorbing the energy from heaven and earth. He must recover his strength as soon as possible and fight against the demon ancestor. Du Shaofu knew that since he was able to wake up inside the stone coffin, it meant one thing: the demon ancestor hasn't entered the divine battle world yet. There was still a chance. As long as he could recover quickly, there was hope to stop the demon ancestor's final massacre and return the 33 heavens and 3,000 boundless worlds to their former glory. Chapter 2986. Du Xiaofu didn't know the specifics of the current situation, but based on a few things he could make a rough judgment. If the demon ancestor awakened and started a massacre, Shenwu world wouldn't be peaceful anymore. The countless living beings gathered outside wouldn't be able to wait here so calmly. So he still had a chance, he still had time. But at the same time he was also worried. Once the demon ancestor recovered to its peak, it would be a true transmogrification realm. When that time comes, how would he be able to suppress it and kill it? Du Xiaofu lightly exhaled, no longer thinking about these things. Senior brother Lu Xiaoyu was still controlling the outside world. What he needed to do now was to carve out his Tao completely and truly step into the carrier realm. Begin. Du Xiaofu calmed his mind and felt the small black dot on his yuanshin. This was his own Tao, different from great god Pan Gu, great Luo Tianzuan, and the demon ancestor. This was something that truly belonged to him. Du Xiaofu gathered all the energy in his body and channeled it into his mind's Niwen palace. Just like before, he condensed an extremely sharp thin sword and began to chase after his scarlet horse, monkey Yuanshin. This step required an extremely strong belief and willpower. The thin sword was incomparably terrifying, causing one's primordial spirit to feel an instinctive sense of terror and fear, causing it to constantly retreat. However, with his first successful experience, Du Xiaofu's second attempt was much smoother than the previous one. Not long after, he finally restrained his origin spirit tightly and used a thin sword to carve out a fine pattern on it. His own Tao represented breaking free from the shackles of heaven and earth. Breaking free from the shackles of heaven and earth. It had an unimaginable meaning. The carrier realm meant that he was truly separated from the greater thousand worlds. Even if heaven and earth were to be destroyed and he lost his vessel, he would still be able to continue living. Du Xiaofu calmly carved out one mark after another on his yuanshin during this process. In the outside world, countless living beings in Shenwu world stared at the Du family's ancestral hall with shining eyes. At this time, the terrifying commotion had stopped, and the heaven and earth energy no longer surged. Rock Emperor! All of the living beings were eagerly anticipating the appearance of the purple-robed young man. They weren't in a hurry. They just quietly waited where they were and looked at the Du family's ancestral house. But suddenly, just as Du Xiaofu started to carve the marks on his yuanshin, all the living beings in Shenwu world trembled. In an instant, countless people sat down cross-legged on the ground. Their eyes naturally closed, and their bodies emitted vigorous energy waves. The entire realm was like this, and not a single creature was an exception. As such, only Yu Yuqian, who had come from the 3,000 great worlds, remained conscious. The old man's heart skipped a beat, but he quickly came to a realization and couldn't help but exclaim, Zai Dao! Xiaofu is breaking through to the Dao carrier realm. This situation caused Yu Yuqian to be shocked, but at the same time he was filled with endless joy. To him, this wasn't something that was hard to understand. Back in the 18 layers of hell, when Du Xiaofu broke through to half-step Dao carrier realm, the Du family's bloodline had already shown a similar situation, and Lu Xiaoyu and the others had also told him about it. Now that the same thing was happening again, Yu Yuqian immediately understood the reason. Du Xiaofu and Shenwu world had always had an inseparable relationship. He controlled the laws of heaven and could be said to be one with this world. Every time Du Xiaofu broke through, Shenwu world would change greatly. The countless living beings that were born in Shenwu world and grew up in Shenwu world were all products of the Grand Tao. Their bodies were carved with the Grand Tao, and as Du Xiaofu began to carve his own Tao, they would also receive unimaginable benefits. Sure enough, as soon as Yu Yuqian realized this, a terrifying explosion resounded throughout the world. The heaven and earth energy that had just calmed down began to boil again, forming spirit energy ribbons that flowed like rivers in the sky or dragons dancing in the air. This world is really going to rise again. Yu Qian muttered as tears began to roll down his cheeks. He wasn't excited about the changes in Shenwu world, but because Du Xiaofu had awakened. The stronger Shenwu world was, the stronger Du Xiaofu would be. That purple-robed youth was really going to return. After waiting for thousands of years, the steps in front of the Du family's ancestral hall had been polished until they were shiny because of his long hours of meditation. Yu Qian had waited for this day for far too long. Luckily, it was finally here. In the endless void, all the stars had already been destroyed, and even the dust had been driven away. Lu Xiaofu and the demon ancestor were in the midst of a fierce battle. Both of them were at the enchanting realm, and the power they unleashed was enough to destroy the world. The demon ancestor wasn't in a hurry to kill Lu Xiaofu. He had his own plans. His strength was slightly higher than his opponent, and killing Lu Xiaofu was only a matter of time. Moreover, to kill someone at the enchanting realm like him wasn't an easy task. Lu Xiaofu wasn't in a hurry either. Every time he swung blood sword, it was as if he was going to split the world apart. Xiaolong, Di Batian, Donghuang Taixian, Yanghua, and Lu Xintong had already retreated far away, but they could still feel the intensity of the battle. Lu Xiaofu, why are you so stubborn? You'll never be able to defeat me, and you won't be able to escape death in the end. The demon ancestor's tall and sturdy figure stood in the void. He opened his mouth and inhaled. The void shattered and turned into chaos as it was sucked into his stomach. Lu Xiaofu was swept up by this power, and his body swayed. The scarlet-red aura wrapped around his body, trying to drag him into the demon ancestor's mouth. However, when he swung his sword down, the terrifying sword light was like a rainbow that pierced through the sky. It brazenly dispersed the demon ancestor's aura, and he broke free. Is that so? Why don't we make a bet? I bet that the person who dies in the end will be you. Lu Xiaofu walked around leisurely. As he exchanged blows with Luo Ho again and again, the corners of his mouth curled up into a smile. He looked at the huge demon ancestor as he spoke. Between his words, there was actually an inexhaustible sense of confidence. Such an expression stunned the demon ancestor, and a strange feeling arose in his heart. He couldn't figure out where Lu Xiaoyou's confidence came from to actually say such words to him. Luo Ho had just broken through to the enchanting realm, and his cultivation was slightly lower than his. In addition, he had the immortal body. No matter how one looked at it, Luo Ho had the absolute advantage. As long as Lu Xiaofu fought with him to the end, Luo Ho believed that Lu Xiaofu would die without a burial place. Why would he dare to clamor here? Suddenly, Luo Ho felt a special fluctuation. His expression froze, and his eyes, which were as red as two bloody suns, suddenly narrowed. After quietly sensing for a while, his expression suddenly changed, as if he had learned something unimaginable. On his face that had been filled with endless violence, there was a hint of panic. Although this panic was quickly covered up by him, it was caught by Lu Xiaofu's sharp senses. Du Xiaofu, that brat, didn't die. Luo Ho looked at Lu Xiaofu and said in a deep voice, just as he sensed, there was a terrifying amount of energy coming from the Shenwu world. Even though there was an immeasurable distance between them, he could still sense it. This fluctuation was extraordinary. It was as if an ancient soul had awakened from its slumber, and it was getting stronger and stronger. At this moment, the entire Shenwu world was filled with an indescribable charm. It was extremely terrifying. In Luo Ho's perception, it was as if the ancient Lord Daluo had awakened. This caused the demon ancestor to have an extremely bad feeling. Du Xiaofu sure is tough. I used the origin of chaos to suppress him, and he still didn't die. Luo Ho gritted his teeth and stared at Lu Xiaofu. He knew that Lu Xiaofu had a part to play in this, but what he couldn't figure out was that with Du Xiaofu's strength back then, even with Lu Xiaoyou's help, it was impossible for him to really survive. let alone now that he had awakened and his strength was rapidly recovering. All of this made the demon ancestor's chi surge, and he was boiling with anger. I didn't think the demon ancestor would have such a violent side. Lu Xiaofu stood up, and the smile on his face deepened. He said softly, "My junior brother Du Xiaofu didn't die. This is indeed out of your expectations. But with your knowledge, it shouldn't be hard for you to figure out the key to this, right? You can say that as long as a sliver of his true spirit isn't destroyed with the Daluo Sky's existence, his recovery is only a matter of time." To be honest, I didn't expect him to be able to awaken so quickly, just in time for this critical moment. Lu Xiaofu said, and he seemed extremely relaxed. Hearing such words, the demon ancestor's face became even more solemn. How could he not know the uniqueness of the Daluo Sky? He also knew the origin of the Du family's bloodline. He also knew why Lu Xiaofu said that as long as Du Xiaofu kept a sliver of his true spirit, he wouldn't be destroyed. It was just that the purple-robed youth had really endured his ferocious attack. With his cultivation back then, he shouldn't have been able to withstand it. But the truth was so unexpected. With Lu Xiaofu's help, that kid had done it. The demon ancestor finally felt threatened. Du Xiaofu's existence was like a knife hanging over his head. So even if Lu Xiaofu had broken through to the phenomenal state, he didn't feel any fear. Even if the god and demon who had opened up the 3,000 boundless worlds returned, Luoho still had the confidence to fight with the two of them. To put it even more harshly, even if he was suppressed like he was in the ancient times, so what? Many years later, he would return again. This was the true strength of the undying body. But now it was different. Du Xiaofu, that kid, was indeed someone who could kill him. Why are you in a daze? Let's continue the fight. Lu Xiaofu suddenly shouted. Taking advantage of the demon ancestor's daze, a terrifying saber light whirled down, breaking through the void and directly descending in front of the demon ancestor. Even when he attacked, he still had a smile on his face. He looked at Luo indifferently, as if he was saying to him, "Are you surprised? Are you surprised? Humph. So what if Du Xiaofu isn't dead? If I want to kill him, it's not difficult at all. Presumably, even if he recovers, he's at most in the carrier realm. It's just a matter of one blow." The demon ancestor moved brazenly. His pair of sharp claws tore the heavens and split the earth, shattering Lu Xiaofu's saber light. Then his body flashed. He was planning to leave this place. Luoho's plan was very simple. Since Du Xiaofu was the person who posed the greatest threat to him, he would kill him first. With his cultivation, once he went all out in the 33 heavens and Daluo Ocean, even Lu Xiaofu would be wary. Under such circumstances, as long as he entered Daluo Ocean, Du Xiaofu would be dead for sure. At least with his cultivation, he wouldn't be able to resist his all-out attack. Do you think I'll let you succeed? Lu Xiaofu immediately saw through the demon ancestor's plan. His eyes instantly turned cold as he looked at him. The saber in his hand slashed out like a waterfall, instantly blocking in front of the demon ancestor. Immediately after, chaotic energy rolled out from Lu Xiaofu's body, spreading out in the void, causing the huge space to turn into a chaotic ocean. Luoho's body was wrapped in this chaotic ocean, tightly binding him. His body that was about to leave paused, and he had no choice but to turn around and face Lu Xiaofu's attack. Lu Xiaofu, you can't stop me. Luoho was really angry this time. His body rose and fell, and his violent and fiendish aura surged into the sky. He wantonly moved through Lu Xiaofu's chaotic ocean, and every time he passed, all the chaotic energy would be broken. Do you think you still have a chance to turn the tables? Lu Xiaoyu bellowed as he pounced forward. In his hand, terrifying saber light shot out one after another, punishing the heavens and destroying the earth, constantly slashing at Luoho. Lu Xiaofu knew that he could not let Luoho successfully escape. Otherwise, with his strength, if he really entered the 33 heavens, he would bring a terrible disaster to the creatures there. At the same time, his junior brother, Du Xiaofu's life would also be threatened. Therefore, he directly used his full strength and began to fight with his life on the line. Lu Xiaofu, I'll turn you into ashes and never let you reincarnate. Luo Ho roared, almost crazy, and created terrifying collisions with Lu Xiaofu again and again. The void disintegrated one after another under the confrontation between the two. The scene was extremely shocking. The chaotic light burst out, and the entire space was about to explode. In the distance, the only world left in the entire universe, Earth, was like a withered leaf, suffering the attack of the storm, wantonly fluttering. Outside Earth, the protective light shield flickered and was about to shatter. The Demon Alpha and Lu Xiaoyu were far too powerful. Just the shockwaves from their attacks had such terrifying power. The two fought crazily, and as time went by, Luo Ho became more and more furious. Both of them fought with a strong bloodlust, and no longer held back, fiercely clashing. Lu Xiaofu's chest was hit by the demon ancestor, and a few hideous bloody wounds appeared, with black gas coming out, and it was difficult to heal. Luo Ho's abdomen was also slashed by the Bloodslayer, and there was a long and thin wound on it. This battle was too terrifying, and it almost turned the entire void upside down. Xiaolong, Di Batian, Donghuang Taixian Yanghua, and Lu Xintong had already retreated to the Divine Demon Battlefield's location, and they were all shocked by the battle from afar. No one dared to go closer to observe, because a battle between two enchanting realms was not something they could touch. Divine Battle World. The entire world was shaking, and there was a series of rumbling sounds. The scale of the world expanded again, and the spiritual energy became thicker, like mist. With Du Xiaofu's breakthrough, an unimaginable change began to happen. Du Xiaofu was carving his own Tao. On his red horse, Monkey Primordial Spirit, lines and lines were carved out by the thin sword, and they looked like veins and blood vessels covering the surface of his body. Heaven and earth were resonating, and the laws were rumbling. The world was filled with the sound of the great Tao, and countless living beings were listening to the sound of the great Tao, and their cultivation and strength were rapidly increasing. Those who had broken through the meditative and immortal realms long ago were once again making great strides. Not long after, little Xingxing, Du Xiaoyao, Du Xiaojing, Du Yunlong, Du Xiaoba, and the others were all close to the second stage of meditative forgetfulness, the Oblivion Realm. Many low-level immortal realms directly stepped into mid-level immortal realms, and mid-level immortal realms instantly reached high-level immortal realms. This change was too shocking. The overall strength of the living beings in the Shenwu world seemed to be on par with the 33 heavens in just one day. Hundreds of meditative forgetfulness, and a large number of immortal realms. So many powerhouses, if placed in the past, would be unimaginable. None of this lasted for too long. The cultivation of many living beings was like an arrow piercing through the clouds, and then it stopped. Swish, swish, swish! When everything stopped, one figure after another rushed out from the desolate country. Little Xingxing, Du Xiaoyao, Du Yunlong, Zhen Qingchen, Du Xiaohuang, Jialo Juyu, and the others were all in this group. In other parts of the world, a large number of figures flashed and directly arrived in the desolate country, above the Du family's ancestral hall, and stood with countless living beings. There were both meditative and immortal realms. Boom! Not long after the arrival of many living beings, a loud rumble came from the Du family's ancestral hall. Tens of thousands of rays of light shot into the sky, dazzling the world. In the next moment, under everyone's gaze, a purple-robed figure appeared, standing in midair. His aura was as deep as the abyss, as vast as the ocean. Seeing this figure appear, the countless living beings in the Shenwu world couldn't help but become excited. Many people's faces turned red, and some even began to cry. "Greetings, Rock Emperor! Greetings, Rock Emperor!" One by one, the figures bowed down, and the sound of their voices reverberated for thousands of miles. Facing the purple-robed figure, the living beings in the Shenwu world let out a roar that had been suppressed in their hearts for thousands of years. Chapter 2987. The Rock Emperor has returned. This is great. After thousands of years, the Rock Emperor has finally awoken, and his cultivation has greatly improved, reaching the peak. The people of Shenwu world have finally waited for this day. Many people were cheering in their hearts, extremely excited. The happiest people were naturally the people of the Huang country and the Du family. Xiaofu, father, brother. In an instant, Iwuming Morong Yorua, Du Tingxian, Little Xingxing, Du Xiaohuang, Du Xiaojing, Du Xiaoqing, and the others all rushed to Du Xiaofu's side, looking at him excitedly. Everyone's face was filled with boundless joy. Du Xiaofu's awakening was a great piece of news. Xiaofu, my disciple. Yu Yuqian was already in tears, looking at the purple-robed young man in front of him, his lips trembling. He had waited for this day for far too long. For other strong cultivators, these thousands of years could be spent in seclusion. But with Yu Yuqian's talent, cultivation was no longer of much use, and he could only endure the torment and worry every day. Master, seeing the old man's haggard face, Du Xiaofu also felt bitter. Your disciple is unfilial. I've made you worry. As he spoke, he knelt down, his eyes red. Get up, get up. It's good that you're awake. It's good that you're awake. Yu Yuqian hurriedly helped Du Xiaofu up, his old face full of smiles as he spoke. It was as if in an instant Yu Yuqian became dozens of years younger, and the emotions that had been suppressed for thousands of years were suddenly released. Shenwu world and the living beings here have changed so much. Du Xiaofu sensed the emotions of everyone around him, and everything was under his control. When he discovered the existence of close to 100 meditators and countless immortal realm cultivators, he was also shocked. Furthermore, Shenwu world scale had once again greatly expanded, which was also very shocking. Du Xiaofu couldn't help but sigh. This world had truly risen, and it was no longer weaker than the 33 heavens as a whole. Rock Emperor, the demon ancestor, has probably already recovered, and the strong cultivators of the 3,000 boundless worlds and 33 heavens have already gathered at the divine demon battlefield to prepare for battle. Now that our Shenwu world strength has increased greatly, we can put it to good use. Please lead us to battle. At this moment, a living being from the crowd shouted the sky. As soon as these words were spoken, everyone instantly boiled with excitement. Everyone was filled with passion and incomparable excitement. That's right. It is said that the Lord of the 3,000 boundless worlds is in seclusion to break through to the imageless realm, but he has yet to return. With the 33 heavens and the 3,000 boundless worlds, it is impossible to stop the devil ancestor. Why don't you lead us to attack and fight the devil ancestor to the end? Rock Emperor, Shenwu world has risen. It won't be a burden anymore. Lead us to battle. Rock Emperor, please lead us to battle. In an instant, countless people in the field spoke out, all of them asking Du Xiaofu to fight. To the living beings of this world, they had been suppressed for far too long. Ever since the devil religion's calamity, the existence of the 33 heavens was revealed, and their lack of strength was revealed. The Rock Emperor left and quickly rose to power in the 33 heavens, but they couldn't do anything to help. After that, the demon race reappeared, chaos reappeared, and all the worlds were faced with great danger. The living beings of the 33 heavens and 3,000 boundless worlds all came out to fight against the demon race. But Shenwu world was still the same. Their strength was too limited, and they couldn't do anything. So in these years, they worked hard to cultivate, all for the sake of being able to represent Shenwu world in battle. However, when the Great War broke out, under the arrangements of the ruler of the 3,000 sectors, Lu Xiaoyu, and under the leadership of the great Rock Emperor Du Xiaofu, The experts of the 33 heavens and the 3,000 sectors worked together to defeat the fiend ancestor. In the end, he was completely wiped out, leaving only the fiend ancestor Rahu. All of this, the living beings of Shanwu world could only watch without being able to do anything. They could only sigh. This world's starting point was too low. It couldn't be compared to the 33 heavens and 3,000 boundless worlds. But now it was different. During the final battle all those years ago, the demon ancestor ambushed the great rock emperor and severely injured him. Everyone in Shanwu world had been waiting for this day, waiting for their strength to be able to shoulder some of the burden for the great rock emperor and the people of the 3,000 great worlds. So their battle intent had reached an extreme point. They couldn't hold it in anymore. They just wanted to fight. Right now, the lord of 3,000 boundless worlds, Lu Xiaofu's situation was unknown. The powerhouses of the 33 heavens and 3,000 boundless worlds were facing the demon ancestor alone. It was very dangerous, so all the living beings of Shanwu world wanted to contribute their strength. At this moment, everyone was looking at Du Xiaofu with anticipation, looking at the purple-robed young man in the air, hoping that they would agree. Du Xiaofu fell into a short silence. After thinking for a while, he shouted, "Shanwu world immediately departs. Follow me to fight the demon ancestor." Hua! All the living beings of Shanwu world were in an uproar. Everyone's mind was in turmoil. As if they were injected with a cardiac stimulant, they exploded into a huge clamor. Looking at this scene, Du Xiaofu's heart was filled with emotions. This world had truly risen. It was strong enough to face an extremely strong challenge. As for himself, his primordial spirit was filled with dense marks of the great Tao. This was Du Xiaofu's own Tao. It was very different from Pan Gu's, Heavenly Lord Daluo's, and the others. Back then, when he controlled the heavenly Tao of Shanwu world, Du Xiaofu formed a close connection with this world, making him the ruler of this world. But now, Du Xiaofu had created a new world, one that was completely carved out by himself. The former relied on the Shanwu world left behind by Heavenly Lord Daluo, while the latter was the result of Du Xiaofu's own efforts. He believed that in the future, all of this would lead him to a higher place. From there, he would be able to create a new world, just like the ancient gods and demons that walked out from the chaos. His senior apprentice brother Lu Xiaofu had such spirit, so naturally Du Xiaofu had it too. Follow me to battle. Looking at the countless living beings, Du Xiaofu used the power of his primordial spirit to investigate the situation in the 33 heavens. Then, with a deep shout, he led countless powerhouses into the sky and charged out of Daluo heaven. In the void where Earth was, Lu Xiaofu and Rahu were fighting crazily. Both of them had serious injuries on their bodies, and blood was spurting out. Demon ancestor Rahu's scarlet hair looked as if it had been scratched by a monkey. Many places were bald, and there were knife marks crisscrossing across his body. Demonic blood flowed. Lu Xiaofu's green robes had long been torn apart. His body was covered in claw marks, and he was emitting a strong demonic aura. The two of them fought without holding back. This space had already begun to disintegrate, and a terrifying chaotic vortex appeared, swallowing everything. One could imagine that if the battle continued, this place would no longer exist. It would return to chaos or even nothingness. Lu Xiaofu, this ancestor will tear you to pieces. Rahu roared, shaking the heavens and earth as he killed his way through the endless void. In his original plan, he had wanted to kill Du Xiaofu first, and then have the final battle with Lu Xiaoyu. But it wasn't that he didn't want to leave and directly charged into Shanwu world. It was just that Lu Xiaofu was too crazy and was fighting with his life on the line. This infuriated Luo Ho to the extreme, but there was nothing he could do. Once he was heavily injured here. Even if he killed Lu Xiaofu in the end, when Du Xiaofu arrived, he wouldn't be able to escape the fate of death. The demon ancestor had already seen through all of this. He only wanted to escape from this battle as soon as possible. But obviously, Lu Xiaofu wouldn't let him go. Although his opponent's strength was slightly weaker than his if he fought with his life on the line, even Rahu had to be careful. I'm afraid I can't let you do as you wish. In the end, it's not your turn to be so arrogant in this world. I, Lu Xiaofu, am not afraid of death. But you don't dare to fight to the death with me. So I'll say it again. The one who dies in the end will be you. Lu Xiaofu's face had already turned serious as he spoke in a low voice. The long saber in his hand slashed down again and again, and it was extremely terrifying. The terrifying power of the Grand Tao leaked out from his body, and it could really destroy the world. As an existence of the illusionary realm, he had the power to split the heavens and earth. In battle, every move he made had terrifying killing power. He kept forcing Ancestor Mo, dragging him to fight with him. Everything seemed to have returned to the last battle of the past. Back then, Lu Xiaofu planned to push the demon ancestor to the limit, and then let Xiaolong, Dibatian, and the others suppress him. Finally, he would rely on Du Xiaofu to kill the demon ancestor, and now it was the same. He only needed to use the illusionary realm to fight the demon ancestor to the end. When his junior brother Du Xiaofu arrived, he might be able to finish off the demon ancestor. The events of the past and the present were extremely similar. This was something that no one had expected, but to Lu Xiaofu, he was just following his original plan. Kill! A terrifying roar came out of his mouth. Lu Xiaofu's long saber struck the sky, and the saber light was shocking. The light of chaos shot out like a giant dragon and attacked the demon ancestor. In an instant, the two of them fought together again, and an unimaginable collision broke out. The world of Earth in the distance, under the protection of the hazy light shield, was like a withered leaf in the wind and rain, swaying up and down without a fixed place. Luo Ho was held back by Lu Xiaofu and fell into a fierce battle, unable to escape. The injuries on the two of them were getting more and more serious. A bright saber light slashed across and directly cut open the demon ancestor's chest, revealing his organs. And Lu Xiaofu didn't have it easy either. The demon ancestor clawed deeply into his chest, and his flesh was torn open. His heart was grabbed by the other party's claw, but he wasn't moved. He raised his saber again, and the demon ancestor's throat was cut open amidst the trembling sound of the blood slash. Although such an injury was extremely terrifying, it wasn't fatal to the two existences of the illusionary realm. The two great experts were using this kind of method to kill each other, injuring the enemy by 1,000, but also injuring themselves by 800. Lu Xiaofu, do you really think you can stop me? Du Xiaofu must die, and no one in this world can stop it. In the end, the demon ancestor was about to go crazy. He roared and retreated with all his might, pulling a long distance away from Lu Xiaoyu. Then his demonic body suddenly trembled, and his lower abdomen shone brightly. The blood-red radiance was 1,000,000 times brighter than the sun. A vast demonic aura burst out from his lower abdomen, and an ancient and mysterious aura burst out, as if it had a life of its own. This is Lu Xiaofu's gaze suddenly froze, and his mouth opened slightly as he looked at the demon ancestor in disbelief. He, Lu Xiaofu, you forced me to do this. You think that by killing countless demon ancestors, you can really make the 33 heavens peaceful? I'm afraid you don't even know that I have a world that has already been successfully opened. The demon ancestor suddenly laughed savagely as he looked at Lu Xiaofu and said. The light in his lower abdomen became more and more dazzling. Even with Lu Xiaofu's strength, he felt a burning pain in his primordial spirit. It was as if a ball of fire was being nurtured there, and the vitality was vigorous. However, this kind of vitality was no different from the demon ancestor in the past, containing a thick, bloody, and ruthless aura. Under Lu Xiaofu's gaze, the light on the demon ancestor's body finally reached an extreme, as if it was boiling. Whoosh! In the next instant, a powerful force instantly surged out, directly filling this boundless space. The mountains, rivers, trees, and rivers were like illusions, directly appearing in front of them. A living creature with wings on its back swept across the sky, and its entire body emitted a terrifying feeling of power, incomparably powerful. In the forest, there were existences similar to the beast race with dense fangs. When they opened their bloody mouths, a fishy wind swept through the 9 heavens. There were also living creatures with blade-like arms, appearing and disappearing in the world. Every one of them had profound cultivation, as if with a wave of their arms, they could split the world and sever the great Tao. Seeing all of this, Lu Xiaoyu was shocked. This was a brand new world, different from the 33 heavens, the 3,000 boundless worlds, and the original demon world. He had rarely seen the living creatures here, other than being incomparably powerful. They all had a common characteristic, and that was that they all carried the power of slaughter. Lu Xiaofu had never thought that the demon ancestor would open up another world and give birth to such living creatures. What shocked him the most was that when he probed with the power of his primordial spirit, he actually found 2 existences of the Tao-bearing realm. Instantly, Lu Xiaofu's heart tightened. All of this had happened too suddenly, and he was completely unprepared. If he could restrain the demon ancestor alone, then these endless living creatures could directly kill their way into the 33 heavens and even pose a threat to his junior brother Du Xiaofu. Kill. Sweep the 33 heavens and kill Du Xiaofu. The demon ancestor's figure appeared again. He stood in the void and gave the order. Soon after, countless figures soared into the sky and let out a series of strange laughter. After a simple sweep, Lu Xiaofu roughly grasped the strength and numbers of these living creatures. There are at least 600 seated forgetfulness and 10 million immortal. In addition, there are 2 Tao-bearing realm experts. These are newly born demons. Cold sweat seeped out of Lu Xiaofu's forehead as he muttered softly. These newly born demons were very different from the 9 demon generals and 2 demon attendants of the past, but they were all incomparably powerful. If one only looked at the seated forgetfulness and immortal realms, then the 33 heavens and the 3,000 boundless worlds together were not impossible to fight. However, there were 2 Tao-bearing realm experts among these demons. If they were allowed to kill their way into the 33 heavens, the situation would be terrible. Lu Xiaofu already knew that his junior brother Du Xiaofu had awakened, and his cultivation should have completely stepped into the Tao-bearing realm. But how could he possibly stop 2 Tao-bearers by himself? This made Lu Xiaofu's heart grow heavier than ever. The changes brought about by Luo Ho were too unexpected. Kill! Lu Xiaofu thought for a moment. Then his figure shot out and rushed towards the 2 Tao-bearing realm experts. He had to kill at least one so that his junior brother Du Xiaofu could truly be free of worries. However, how could the demon ancestor give him such a chance? The tall and majestic demon caught up and clawed at Lu Xiaofu's waist, tearing off a chunk of flesh, revealing his spine. Keek keek. Lu Xiaofu, you've always been against this ancestor. So today, this ancestor will play with you. Luo Ho laughed strangely, holding Lu Xiaofu back with all his strength. A terrifying battle broke out between the 2 again. Lu Xiaofu tried to break free from the demon ancestor's entanglement several times to kill one of the Tao-bearing realm experts, but he was tightly held back. This time, the 2's situation had reversed. Luo Ho, who was originally held back by Lu Xiaofu, wanted to restrain Lu Xiaofu in this world. His goal was very simple, and that was to use the brand new demon experts born in this world to slaughter the 33 heavens under the leadership of 2 Tao-bearing realm experts. Even if Du Xiaofu appeared, it would be impossible for him to resist these people. In this way, victory would still be in his grasp in the end. Accept your fate, Lu Xiaofu. You can't beat this ancestor. The demon ancestor sneered and clawed at the void, almost tearing this world apart. The mountains and earth collapsed and exploded. The scene was terrifying. However, he didn't care about this at all. He just wanted to keep Lu Xiaofu here. Facing such a situation, Lu Xiaofu's face was extremely solemn, and he didn't speak. He just kept fighting with the demon ancestor, and the blood attacked again and again, erupting with heaven-shaking power. In the end, this newly established world was really directly shattered into 6 pieces by the hands of these 2 great Peerless phenomenon experts. It was unknown how many of these weak beings had died. This scene was too shocking, and it was similar to the ancient times. In the battle at that time, Pangu world and the demon world were both shattered, turning into the 33 heavens and the 18 layers of hell, respectively. While these 2 experts were fighting, the countless demon clan experts that were born from this world majestically soared into the sky. They quickly rushed out of this world and headed towards the 33 heavens. The figures that blotted out the sky moved like flying locusts and soon entered the boundless void. Chapter 2988. Kill. A terrifying roar reverberated through the air, shaking the heavens and earth. Countless figures soared into the sky, their shadows indistinct and dense as they charged out from the new devil race world. No one had expected that the devil ancestor would open up another world and give birth to so many powerful devil race members. One of the 2 Dao vessel realm experts in the lead had a back that was covered in bone spikes that pierced towards the sky. He was like a devil from the abyss, and he carried boundless ferocious aura that seemed capable of destroying the sky and penetrating the earth. The other one's entire body was covered in pitch-black scales that emitted a metallic luster. Even his head and face were covered in scales. His eyes were filled with a frightening and dense light. The 2 of them took the lead, leading the endless devil race army to attack the 33 heavens. It didn't take long for Xiaolong, Dibatian, Dongwang Taixian, Yanghua, Lu Xintong, and the others to discover the scene. Each of them was shocked. Under their gazes, the devil race arrived, blotting out the sky and covering the earth like a swarm of locusts, their murderous intent spreading in all directions. When these figures entered their field of vision, the experts of the 33 heavens and the 3,000 boundless worlds felt their scalps go numb. When the new world rushed out from the devil ancestor's body, it set off a terrifying commotion. But before they could really react, they saw so many terrifying figures rushing over. They knew that all of this must have something to do with the devil ancestor. But who would have thought that the devil race would have so many powerful existences? So many devil race experts were too terrifying, especially the 2 true experts of the Dao-bearing realm. Even from afar, there was an oppressive force that swept over, making it difficult to breathe. Prepare for battle, an expert shouted, his voice shaking the sky. Everyone felt the pressure double. If it were just ordinary devil race experts, they wouldn't feel so much pressure. However, there were 2 experts of the Dao-bearing realm among them. Compared to the experts of the 33 heavens and the 3,000 boundless worlds, this was an existence that could completely crush them. The 5 of us will do our best to stall those 2 Dao carriers. As for the rest, kill them all, Xiaolong said after exchanging glances with Dibatian, Dongwang Taixian, Yanghua, and Lu Xintong. Kill. The 5 of them immediately charged out, bringing along terrifying energy fluctuations as they charged towards the demon army. The powerhouses of the 33 heavens and the 3,000 boundless worlds followed behind. Everyone raised their weapons, their killing intent surging outwards. Let's fight the demons. Even if I die, I won't let them take a single step into the 33 heavens. Countless experts roared, their auras surging as they charged forward with all their might. In the blink of an eye, the 2 armies collided and began a terrifying battle. Xiaolong's group of 5 blocked the 2 Dao carrying devil race's experts, and a terrifying battle broke out between them. Keek, eerie and terrifying voices rang out from the throats of the 2 Dao bearers of the devil race. Their cold laughter made one's hair stand on end. Xiaolong's group of 5 felt an endless weight in their hearts as they moved with all their might, tightly surrounding the 2 Dao-carrying devil race experts. They knew in their hearts that with the strength of the 5 of them, it was impossible for them to truly block the 2 Dao-carrying devil race experts. Looking at the number of other experts of the devil race, they were faintly suppressing the 33 heavens and the 3,000 boundless worlds. This was an incomparably terrifying matter. In such a battle, it wouldn't be long before their side suffered a great defeat, and they wouldn't even have the ability to escape. However, things had already come to this point, and they couldn't care less. Even if they couldn't win, they had to fight. Kill! Xiaolong roared, and his azure dragon physique materialized. His immeasurable dragon physique stretched across the void like an endless mountain range. It was incomparably terrifying. Di Batian and Donghuang Taixian also made their moves. The former formed a series of mysterious hand seals, forming an incomparably huge swastika symbol, and brazenly pressed down. The heavy sword in Yang's hand slashed down like a mountain, blotting out the sky and covering the sun. Large amounts of dark green qi flowed out from Lu Xintong's body, turning into a terrifying poisonous qi that could corrode anything. Kill them, then go find that Du Xiaofu. The 2 Dao-carrying devil race experts didn't put these people in their eyes at all. With their strength, even if there were 5 more half-step Dao-carrying devil race experts, they wouldn't be able to stop their slaughter. Under the orders of the devil ancestor, their real goal was to kill their way to Shanwu world and kill the young man called Du Xiaofu. Therefore, when faced with the joint attack of Xiaolong's group of 5, the 2 Dao-carrying devil race experts didn't hesitate to attack. Huge bone spikes pointed towards the sky from the back of one of them, and with a bend of his body, he shot out like a mountain towards Xiaolong at the same time. A slender devil blade appeared in the other's hand out of thin air, seemingly made from the bones of some kind of terrifying beast, and the killing intent it exuded was awe-inspiring. Rumble as everyone attacked. A terrifying power surged out crazily. The 2 Dao-carrying devil race experts were incomparably terrifying, and as soon as they launched their attacks, they directly crushed heaven and earth. Xiaolong, Di Batian, Donghuang Taixian, Yanggua, and Lu Xintong were instantly sent flying by the powerful force. The immeasurably long azure dragon's body rolled in the void, smashing one area after another into chaos. It was unknown how many experts from the 33 heavens, the 3,000 boundless worlds, and the devil race died under the dragon's body, and their blood dyed the sky red. Di Batian's hand seal was also shattered in the blink of an eye and turned into nothingness. The other 3 were in a similar situation, and Donghuang Taishuan's arm was almost cut off by the other Dao-carrying devil race expert's blade. In just a single exchange, they had fallen into an absolute disadvantage. Kill! In response, the 2 Dao-carrying devil race experts only laughed coldly, and their mouths continuously emitted sinister sounds. The 2 of them didn't even glance at the fierce battle around them, and only wanted to break through the blockade of the 5 Dao-carrying devil race experts as soon as possible and find Du Xiaofu. However, the aftermath of the collision here caused a large number of figures to be crushed into blood mist and turned into nothingness. The devil race actually has 2 Dao-carrying devil race experts. This is too terrifying. Uncle Xiaolong and the others definitely won't be able to resist. In the midst of the battle, Lu Jingyun's brows were deeply furrowed, and he muttered to himself solemnly. He was extremely anxious, but there was nothing he could do to help. In front of a true Dao-carrying devil race expert, his cultivation at the 3rd level of the meditative realm was too weak, and he couldn't be of much use. What should we do now? If this continues, we will be defeated very quickly, and Father, Uncle Yanggua, Aunt Xintong, and the others will be in danger. The haze in Long K's heart was heavy, and it felt like a heavy mountain was pressing down on him. I didn't expect the devil ancestor to have such a method, and actually opened up a whole new world, and we didn't even receive any news about it. The surrounding experts from the 33 heavens and 3,000 boundless worlds were also under great pressure. In the battle several thousand years ago, the devil race in the 18 layers of hell had been completely crushed by them. Even the entire 18 layers of hell had been destroyed in the battle between Lu Xiaoyu and the devil ancestor. Other than that, when Xiaolong and the others had rescued the 5 ancient Dao-carrying devils with blood spear, the devil race's world had been turned into nothingness. At that time, the devil race had suddenly mobilized a powerful force to repel Lu Xiaoyu, and then ambush Du Xiaofu, thus destroying all the original plans. Otherwise, if everything had gone according to the arrangements of the 3,000 boundless worlds overlords, the devil ancestor would have died long ago. Perhaps at that time the devil race's world had already been opened up, and the power inside had been mobilized by the devil ancestor Rahu to repel Lu Xiaoyu. I'm afraid it's not just that. The devil race's world is not something that can be born in just a few thousand years. Perhaps he had already made all these arrangements in the ancient era. Lu Jingyun said solemnly. He felt that this speculation was probably true. In a short few thousand years, the devil ancestor might have been able to open up a new world, but the living beings inside definitely wouldn't have grown to such a terrifying extent, giving birth to 2 Dao-carrying realm experts. Moreover, in the countless years before that, the devil ancestor had been suppressed by Pangu and Heavenly Lord Absolute. If all of this could be traced back, it could only be from the ancient era. Perhaps even Pangu and Heavenly Lord Absolute had never imagined that the devil ancestor had opened up a new world. Otherwise, those 2 terrifying experts would never have allowed this world to continue growing. The only thing they didn't know was how the devil ancestor Rahu had done it. Kill! A terrifying battle raged on, and the 2 forces fought to the point of madness. After Xiaolong, Dibatian, and the other 4 half-step Dao-carrying realm experts were ruthlessly repelled, they gathered together again and formed a new round of encirclement. Every one of them had suffered heavy injuries, and their strength had been greatly reduced. Everyone was thinking in their hearts that perhaps today would really be the day of their deaths. But at this moment, if they didn't fight with their lives on the line, they would only die faster. Lu Xiaoyu was held back by the devil ancestor, and the situation was unclear. It was likely that no one in the world could help them anymore, unless the creator of the 3,000 boundless worlds, Senior Spirit Creation, could return and join the battle. It's a pity that we don't know where Senior Spirit Creation went, and we don't know what the situation is like now. Did he encounter any trouble? Xiaolong knew more about Senior Spirit Creation than anyone else. His boss, Lu Xiaoyu, had once told him that Senior Spirit Creation had gone to search for some ultimate secrets, and Lu Xiaoyu had even brought Xiaolong along to search for him, but to no avail. No one could say for sure whether or not the existence of the 3,000 boundless worlds who had created the 3,000 boundless worlds, the fiend god who had walked out of the primordial chaos like Pangu, Heavenly Lord Absolute Luo, and fiend ancestor Rahu, had encountered an accident. Therefore they could only think about it, but they couldn't really count on that expert to suddenly return and deal with the devil race. They could only rely on these insignificant people to fight to the death. Kill! Terrifying roars came out of the mouths of all the living beings, and killing intent burst out, causing the universe to tremble. Xiaolong's group of 5 pounced towards the 2 devil race experts like moths flying into a flame, holding the mentality of facing death with equanimity. They didn't know how many attacks they could withstand. Rumble! The void shook violently, the world shook, and everything exploded everywhere, was struck into a state of chaos, and it was incomparably terrifying. Huge vortexes appeared, swallowing everything. A large number of experts from the 33 heavens, 3,000 boundless worlds, and the devil race were sucked into the vortexes and suffered heavy casualties. The collision of 2 carrying Dao realm experts and 5 half-step carrying Dao realm experts was really too terrifying. Even if it was just the aftermath, it was enough to crush countless other living beings. This was an indiscriminate attack, and it didn't care which side the experts were from. In this regard, The two carrying Tao realm experts of the devil race didn't care about the casualties of the devil race at all. Go to hell, ants. GGG. The carrying Tao realm expert with huge bone spikes on his back suddenly sneered, and devil chi surged out of his body, creating a terrifying storm that swept towards Xiaolong and the others. The other carrying Tao realm expert also slashed out thousands of ferocious blade lights in succession, and the scene was extremely shocking. After the second round of attacks, Xiaolong and the others had suffered serious injuries, and each of them was covered in bloody wounds. They only felt that they would only be able to withstand 1 or 2 more attacks like this before they were crushed to death. Prepare to self-destruct. Even if I die, I will make these two carrying Tao realm experts suffer. Xiaolong's dragon eyes suddenly shot out 2 rays of light, and a strong sense of anger and determination appeared in the depths of his eyes. For the 3,000 boundless worlds, for our loved ones, even death is worth it, Yang Guo said softly, and although his voice wasn't loud, it contained an indescribable sense of grandeur. His gaze drifted as if he was thinking of the beautiful figure he cared about the most. She had stayed in the 3,000 boundless worlds and didn't come here. In addition, familiar faces flashed through his mind, and the corners of Yang Guo's mouth curled into a smile, as if he was bidding farewell to many old friends. Di Batian, Dongwang Taixian, and Lu Xintong couldn't help but have the same feeling when they saw this. This old man has lived for countless years, and in the early years I fought against the gods and saint kings in the 3,000 boundless worlds, and it could be said that I narrowly escaped death. But after all, those were all battles of the same level, and it wasn't very heroic. But now this old man is actually lucky enough to participate in the battle between the experts who created the world, and it can be said that my life wasn't in vain. Let's self-destruct. Dong Huang Taixian suddenly chuckled, and he didn't care about the injuries on his body at all. Instead, a terrifying aura began to brew, and he rushed out to kill the 2 carrying Tao realm experts. The self-destruction of a half-step carrying Tao realm expert might not be fatal to a true carrying Tao realm expert, but it was enough to greatly reduce their strength. In this way, it could be considered as reducing a huge amount of pressure for the experts of the 33 heavens and 3,000 boundless worlds. Moreover, there were a total of 5 of them here, and if they all self-destructed at the same time, even the 2 carrying Tao realm experts wouldn't be able to withstand it. If we die, then die. Di Batian also said in a deep voice, and like Dongwang Taixian, he directly attacked the 2 carrying Tao realm experts. Xiaolong, Yang Guo, and Lu Xintong naturally didn't slow down at all, and they followed closely behind. Seeing the 5 people attacking, the 2 carrying Tao realm experts looked at each other, and then directly retreated, and a series of sinister laughter came from their mouths. You want to self-destruct to deal with the 2 of us? You 5 ants, are you worthy? The expert covered in pitch-black scales laughed, and his voice was hoarse and gloomy, as if it came out of a broken drum. The 2 instantly retreated, and they didn't intend to fight the suicide attack of the 5 carrying Tao realm experts head-on. With their strength, it wasn't particularly difficult to shake off the 5 carrying Tao realm experts. Moreover, it was better for the 5 carrying Tao realm experts to self-destruct, as they wouldn't waste too much time here. Seeing the 5 carrying Tao realm experts, auras become more and more intense. The 2 carrying Tao realm experts couldn't help but smile coldly. As they retreated, they couldn't help but close their eyes slightly, as if they wanted to listen carefully to the beautiful sound of the 5 carrying Tao realm experts' self-destruction. Brother Xiaolong, your lives are so precious. How can you be annihilated by 2 scammers? Suddenly, a voice appeared out of thin air, as if it came from ancient times, and it suddenly fell into the ears of Xiaolong, Di Batian, Donghuang Taixian, Yang Guo, and Lu Xintong. As the voice fell, a powerful force swept over, and directly fell on Xiaolong, Di Batian, Donghuang Taixian, Yang Guo, and Lu Xintong's bodies. In the next moment, the 5 half-step carrying Dao realm experts were shocked to discover that the aura they were gathering was greatly suppressed, and they couldn't erupt for a moment. Xiaofu brat. Upon hearing this voice, Xiaolong's eyes widened and joy surged in his heart. This voice was too familiar, and it was no stranger to any of the experts. It was none other than Du Xiaofu, whose fate was unknown. Without hesitation, the 5 half-step carrying Dao realm experts retracted all the energy in their bodies and suppressed it, no longer agitated. Originally, they were about to self-destruct, but under this restraint, they suffered some injuries again. However, this didn't matter. The most important thing was that Du Xiaofu had really returned. Swoosh! A purple-robed figure appeared out of thin air and descended in front of everyone. This figure was none other than Du Xiaofu. Brother Xiaolong, you guys go to the side and rest. Leave these 2 carrying Dao realm experts to me. Du Xiaofu glanced at Xiaolong and said with a light smile, Xiaofu brat, you broke through to the carrying Dao realm? Xiaolong was pleasantly surprised and couldn't help but ask. Seeing Du Xiaofu nod with a smile, they became even more excited. Then they nodded excitedly and quickly retreated to the rear. Be careful. Both of them are at the Dao vessel realm. Before Xiaolong left, he didn't forget to remind Du Xiaofu. They finally felt a lot more relaxed. Du Xiaofu had broken through to the carrying Dao realm and arrived here in time. It might be difficult for him to deal with 2 carrying Dao realm experts, but he definitely wouldn't be completely suppressed like them. As long as this brat could hold on, the 5 of them could wait until they recovered some strength and came to help. At that time, the situation would be much better. Another world of the devil race? The devil ancestor really hasn't given up on his evil intentions. Du Xiaofu's gaze turned to look at the endless devil race army around him and muttered softly to himself. Chapter 2989. After Du Xiaofu arrived, he quickly understood the situation in front of him, and the result that he obtained also made him feel incomparably surprised. The appearance of the second devil race world had a huge impact on the 33 heavens and the 3,000 boundless worlds. If not for Du Xiaofu's timely arrival, Xiaolong, Dibatian, and the other half-step Dao realm experts would have been the first to bear the brunt of the attack and die at the hands of the 2 Dao realm experts. Yu Qing Divine Emperor, it's him, Dayu Ocean Rock Emperor Du Xiaofu. He has already stepped into the Dao realm. He really recovered. This is great. Du Xiaofu's sudden appearance caused the experts of the 33 heavens and the 3,000 boundless worlds to boil with excitement. They were all unable to suppress their excitement. They all knew about the tribulation Du Xiaofu had gone through thousands of years ago, and the experts of the various worlds had brought many treasures to the divine battle world in hopes of lending him a helping hand. Who would have thought that the purple-robed youth would appear again today? And this made everyone overjoyed. Rock Emperor Du Xiaofu has returned. The devil race no longer has much of an advantage. Let's fight and see who will have the last laugh. Kill! Suddenly, a powerhouse from the 33 heavens shouted out loud. Such words immediately stirred up the blood of many experts. If it was said that they still had a great deal of worry before, then now they were completely free to fight, clashing with the devil race experts. Du Xiaofu stepping into the Dao realm was inevitable, and his arrival gave the experts of the 33 heavens and the 3,000 boundless worlds real hope. With him holding back the 2 Dao realm experts, the 33 heavens and the 3,000 boundless worlds naturally had nothing to fear in a situation where the devil race did not have much of an advantage in numbers. Kill! Many people shouted as they engaged in a terrifying battle with the devil race experts. Everyone was no longer in a state of panic. Du Xiaofu was like a stabilizing needle that had arrived. However, just as the powerhouses of the 33 heavens and the 3,000 great thousand worlds were feeling this way, another wave of war cries surged out from the celestial demon battlefield. We came from Shenwu world, and the 33 heavens and the 3,000 boundless worlds are working together to fight against the demons. These words were like a bolt of lightning striking down, shocking everyone present. Everyone was stunned. Then, under their increasingly shocked gazes, at least 2 million figures covered the sky and covered the earth. They were so densely packed that it was a spectacular sight. The most terrifying part was that there were over 100 experts at the meditative realm amongst these 2 million experts, and the rest were at the eternal realm. Such a force was too terrifying. No matter where it was or where it was in the world, it was an absolutely terrifying combat power. Are these people from Shenwu world? How could they be so strong? A powerhouse from the 33 heavens muttered, his face filled with disbelief. The sudden arrival of so many powerhouses was truly beyond their imagination. The changes in Shenwu world were too great. With so many powerhouses joining in, the situation of the entire battlefield was instantly changed. Ha ha ha! The Rock Emperor has recovered, and Shenwu world has risen with him. With this, what do we have to fear from the demons? There were creatures who laughed loudly, feeling incomparably happy. Many people beside him echoed, expressing their agreement. Kill. Little Xingxing, Du Xiaoyao, Du Xiaojing, Du Tingxian, Du Yunlong, Zhen Qingchen, Jialo Juyu, and other powerhouses didn't waste any words and directly charged into the battlefield. In an instant, the situation of the entire battlefield changed greatly. In terms of overall strength, the demons were at a disadvantage. They were being suppressed by the powerhouses of the 3 worlds. Kakik, your Du Xiaofu? The 2 Dao-bearing experts didn't seem to care about the situation around them. They didn't seem to care about the lives of the other demons. The 2 looked at Du Xiaofu and laughed coldly. They had received orders from the demon ancestor to kill this purple-robed youth called Du Xiaofu. As for the others, they didn't care about them at all. You're right, I am Du Xiaofu. Du Xiaofu looked at the 2 demons and said softly with a smile. His face was calm and composed, and his feet stepped through the void as if he was taking a leisurely stroll. He didn't feel the slightest sense of urgency from being surrounded by 2 super powerhouses. Not bad, kid. We were going to look for you, but you delivered yourself to our doorstep. Keek keek. The demon covered in scales laughed eerily as he looked at Du Xiaofu. A Dao-bearing expert is already very strong. Unfortunately, you're only one person. You won't survive today against the 2 of us, the other demon with bone spikes on his back said. As the 2 of them spoke, they formed a triangle formation and charged towards Du Xiaofu to kill him. As long as they dealt with the purple-robed youth in front of them, they would have completed the most important task of this trip. The 2 Dao-bearing experts naturally had to join forces and kill this purple-robed youth as soon as possible. Hee hee! Hearing the words of the 2 demons, Du Xiaofu suddenly chuckled with a mysterious calmness. He said, Don't the 2 of you feel that you're overconfident? I'm afraid I'll have to disappoint the 2 of you here today. I can guarantee that it won't be long before the 2 of you die in my hands, and I will also kill your Lord Demon Ancestor. As he finished speaking, a playful smile appeared at the corners of his mouth as he looked at the 2 demons. The 2 devilish beings couldn't help but falter slightly upon seeing this, and they exchanged a glance with one another. They had absolutely no idea where this young man got his confidence from, daring to say such words in a situation where he was fighting 2 people by himself. But no matter what, this battle was absolutely unavoidable. What an arrogant brat. Then let's fight. I'll let you see what true strength is. The demon with scales all over his body snorted and immediately attacked Du Xiaofu. In his hand, the strange long saber slashed out like a poisonous dragon, crazily biting at Du Xiaofu. Boy, give me your life. The other demon quickly stepped in the void. Every step of his heavy body was like a huge mountain moving, causing the world to shake as if it was about to be destroyed. It was incomparably terrifying. The 2 demons approached Du Xiaofu, But the purple-robed youth didn't seem to care at all. Swish! Suddenly a light flashed in Du Xiaofu's hand, and the purple-gold heavenly palace appeared in his hand. The smile on his face grew wider, but this time it was incomparably cold as he said, "You know nothing about power!" Chila! As soon as Du Xiaofu finished speaking, the purple-gold heavenly tower slashed downwards, creating a dazzling streak of light as it collided with the attacks of the two Dao-carrying experts of the devil race. A shocking scene occurred. Du Xiaofu's sword light seemed to be invincible, and in an instant the attacks of the two demons were shattered, so much so that not even a decent aftershock was emitted. The huge bone spikes that shot out in the void were actually easily repelled by Du Xiaofu's sword light. This scene was so shocking that the two demons were stunned in place, and for a moment they didn't know what to do. How could this be? The two of them couldn't believe it and muttered. After looking at each other, they saw the shock in each other's eyes. Obviously, the strength that Du Xiaofu had shown had shocked them, and they weren't mentally prepared for it. Although the other party's attack just now didn't show much of a terrifying fluctuation, it had tightly suppressed the attacks of the two demons. Such means were really too terrifying. Prepare to die. I don't have much time to waste on the two of you. Du Xiaofu raised his eyebrows slightly, and his figure suddenly spread out and directly pounced. The purple-gold heavenly palace in his hand released a bright light. On the other hand, an expanse of boundlessly vast energy of the Grand Tao was actually inexplicably emanated from his body, and it diffused out ferociously and shook violently. The power of the Grand Tao belonged to Du Xiaofu himself, and it was completely different from the Tao of any living being in the world. This power swept towards the two demons and wrapped them up at the same time. Boy, you're simply too arrogant. You're just a Tao carrier. Do you really think the two of us can't do anything to you? One of the demon powerhouses said coldly. Then the two of them didn't waste any more words and directly launched another round of fierce attacks on Du Xiaofu. No matter what, they didn't believe that Du Xiaofu could really pose a great threat to them with the strength of a single person. As they spoke, the qi in the bodies of the two demon powerhouses circulated wildly, and scarlet light burst out, intertwining into an incomparably terrifying billowing demon qi. Humph! Du Xiaofu didn't say anything else, but the sword in his hand moved. In an instant, layers of strange power came out from the void, and dense mist rose in the air. It was as if with the movement of his sword, an unimaginable power between heaven and earth was gathering here. The purple-robed youth's surroundings suddenly became deep and vast, making people feel as if they were turning around in an ocean of energy, and fierce power burst out from the surroundings. This is the power of the world. How is this possible? The throat of the man covered in pitch-black scales rolled a few times as he spoke in disbelief. It was as if he had sensed something extremely shocking from this. How can a realm of enlightenment master the power of the world? The other person also spoke, and his entire body was shocked to the extreme. They had just come out of the demon world and didn't know anything about the outside world. The demon ancestor had asked the two of them to kill this young man called Du Xiaofu, so they just did it directly. It was expected that the person who could be sent out by them was extremely powerful, and the two realm of enlightenment masters never thought that they could easily kill Du Xiaofu. But they never thought that the power of the world would burst out from this boy's body. His cultivation isn't at the realm of enlightenment, but he has the power of the world. Why is that? The two of them were stunned in an instant, and their whole body was stunned on the spot, as if they were stupid. The power of the world here was different from the power of the world in the ordinary sense, and this was the power of the real, vast thousand worlds. The creator of every world could control this kind of power, and it was something that was fused with them, and they could freely use it. In the eyes of a realm of enlightenment master, a large world was similar to a powerful treasure that they refined themselves, so of course they could use it. But the two demons never thought that the purple-robed youth in front of them, who was clearly only at the realm of enlightenment, would be able to use such a terrifying power. The demon race has wreaked havoc in the world. But I didn't think that after killing off one world, another would appear. Since you don't want to stop, then let me kill you until you lose your courage." Du Xiaofu's eyes suddenly became serious, and he said so. Then he waved his sword and slashed at the two realm of enlightenment masters, facing Du Xiaofu's power of the world of Shenwu. The two of them didn't dare to underestimate him in the slightest, and fought back with all their strength. Instantly, a terrifying battle broke out on this side, and the three realm of enlightenment masters fought fiercely. Du Xiaofu was fighting one against two, and he actually had the absolute advantage. With the power of the world of Shenwu, he no longer needed to be like before, where he could only use the power of the world of Shenwu. Even if he was outside the Fiend God battlefield, he could still use the power of the world for his own use. It could be said that after truly breaking through to the realm of enlightenment, he had walked his own path, and his control over the world of Shenwu had reached the most perfect state. Therefore, with the help of the world of enlightenment, Du Xiaofu firmly suppressed the two realm of enlightenment masters and suppressed the fluctuations of the battle between the three to the smallest possible scale, so as to avoid causing huge losses to the other masters. A powerful light spread out from Du Xiaofu's body, and his whole body moved continuously in the void, forcing the two realm of enlightenment masters to retreat step by step. Xiaofu brat is actually so strong. In the distance, Xiaolong, who was quietly sitting cross-legged and recuperating, slowly opened his eyes, and couldn't help but be stunned when he saw the battle. He was extremely surprised by Du Xiaofu's performance. The purple-robed youth had just broken through to the realm of enlightenment, but he was actually able to fight against two realm of enlightenment masters? Such a powerful strength could only be described as abnormal. We can focus on recuperating, and when we recover some strength, we can go help him kill those two realm of enlightenment masters. Di Batian also opened his eyes at some point and said. When the others heard this, they couldn't help nodding and didn't say anything else. At this moment, the most important thing was to kill the two realm of enlightenment masters. Lu Xiaofu and the Devil Ancestors' battle was still unknown, and with these two realm of enlightenment masters delaying them, Du Xiaofu couldn't go forward to investigate the situation. Xiaolong and the others believed that with the current situation, as long as they joined in, they would definitely be able to help Du Xiaofu kill the two realm of enlightenment masters in a short time. Xiaolong, Di Batian, Donghuang Taixian, Yanghua, and Lu Xintong closed their eyes again and focused on recovering their strength. In the distance, terrifying battles were taking place in every direction, and it was incomparably terrifying. The 33 heavens and the 3,000 boundless worlds had joined forces, gathering a large number of masters, and their overall strength was almost on par with the realm of enlightenment masters. After Shenwu world joined in, the situation gradually became one-sided. It could be said that if the realm of enlightenment masters didn't take action, the army here would be crushed in the end. On the other side, Du Xiaofu was also moving with all his strength, and every time the broadsword in his hand fell, it was as if a part of the world was dancing, and it was incomparably terrifying. All of this was being perceived by Lu Xiaofu and Luo Ho at this time. Ha! So the two realm of enlightenment masters of your realm of enlightenment are only so capable. Lu Xiaofu and Luo Ho stood opposite each other and suddenly chuckled lightly, speaking in a relaxed manner. Sensing the situation outside, he breathed a sigh of relief. Previously, Xiaolong and the other four were firmly suppressed, and almost reached a critical juncture. Fortunately, Du Xiaofu appeared in time. Even Lu Xiaofu didn't expect that his junior brother's strength would break through so quickly, and under the condition that he controlled the power of the world, he could fight against two realm of enlightenment masters at the same time. No one could have expected such a valiant appearance. Obviously, the Devil Ancestor, who was facing Lu Xiaofu, had never thought of this point. Du Xiaofu, the Devil Ancestor, clenched his teeth, almost grinding them to pieces. Hearing Lu Xiaofu's words, the Devil Ancestor only felt extreme anger. He never thought that that brat Du Xiaofu would be so strong, and it was completely beyond his expectations. Lu Xiaofu's mood at this time was simply relaxed and happy. He was still fighting Luoho with all his might, but this time he wasn't in a hurry. Junior brother Du Xiaofu had awakened and recovered. The devil ancestor should be the one anxious. One had to know that in the current world, the only person who could truly threaten Luoho's life was Du Xiaofu. Lu Xiaofu, you can't stop this ancestor. Even with the addition of Du Xiaofu, what could they do? They would still end up dead. With the knowledge of post-celestial life forms like you, how can you see through this ancestor's methods? In the middle of the battle, Luoho spoke eerily to Lu Xiaofu. His eyes shone with a strange light as he stared deeply at Lu Xiaoyu. Facing the devil ancestor's gaze, Lu Xiaofu's whole body unconsciously had some goosebumps. He frowned and his heart pounded, just as the devil ancestor said. He indeed couldn't see through the devil ancestor's methods. Just like this hidden second devil world of the devil race, he only knew about it when the devil ancestor revealed it himself. It was also because of the existence of this world that the devil ancestor could mobilize terrifying power to repel Lu Xiaofu and then sneak attack Du Xiaofu, causing Lu Xiaofu's plan, which had been set up for many years, to fail at the last step, and fail on the verge of success. Therefore, the devil ancestor's words once again made Lu Xiaofu more cautious. Perhaps it was just as he said, that the devil ancestor still had a true method, and that he was still hiding it. Chapter 2990. No matter what other tricks you have up your sleeves, use them all. Lu will take them all. Lu Xiaoyu frowned as he looked at the demon ancestor and said, he couldn't help but be cautious. The demon ancestor's methods were strange and unpredictable. Suddenly, he released a huge new world, and the living beings inside were extremely powerful. If it weren't for Du Xiaofu and the people of Shenwu world, the powerhouses of the 33 skies and the 3,000 sectors would have suffered heavy losses under the slaughter of the two demons. Because of this, Lu Xiaoyu couldn't guarantee what the demon ancestor could do. The sudden appearance of the demon world was already enough to catch people off guard. If there were other changes, it would bring unimaginable pressure to deal with. Looking at Lu Xiaoyu's expression, the demon ancestor laughed coldly. The energy on his body fluctuated again, deep and vast. Feeling this fluctuation, Lu Xiaoyu was shocked again. He looked at the demon ancestor deeply. Could it be that the demon ancestor still had some terrifying tricks he hadn't used yet? Very quickly, under Lu Xiaoyu's gaze, the demon ancestor's body emitted a bright light. Once again, there was a terrifying fluctuation of energy in his abdomen. This scene was very similar to the new world of the devil race that he had summoned earlier. Within this fluctuation of energy, there seemed to be a living being that was awakening. It stared at Lu Xiaoyu from the dark, making him feel like he was being stared at by a pair of cold eyes. This feeling made him feel shocked and his heart heavy. Lu Xiaoyu, I admit that you are extremely talented and your strength is extraordinary. You are not much weaker than me. In addition, that brat Du Xiaofu is also extraordinary. He can indeed pose a threat to this ancestor. However, in the face of absolute strength, even if Du Xiaofu has some special abilities, I'm afraid he still has a chance to fight against me. At the end, the demon ancestor laughed arrogantly again. The energy on his body continued to surge. How could Lu Xiaoyu, who was standing opposite him, not understand the meaning of his words? Everyone knew that Du Xiaofu could completely kill the demon alpha. This was something no one else could do. However, the premise of all this was that his strength was not too different from the demon ancestor's, or that the demon ancestor had expended a lot of energy before Du Xiaofu could kill him. That was Lu Xiaoyu's plan all along. He wanted to use his own strength to push the demon ancestor to the limit. Then Du Xiaofu would attack and kill him. But what if the demon ancestor was too strong, far stronger than Lu Xiaoyu and Du Xiaofu? Even he was suppressed by the demon ancestor's absolute power, so how could he possibly kill it? Lu Xiaoyu didn't respond to Luo Ho's words. Instead, he stared deeply at the other party. At the same time, he brandished his saber, Bloody Slaughter, and attacked the towering and burly demon body with all his strength. However, the light on the demon ancestor's body shone brightly again. As the mighty power burst forth, it shook Lu Xiaoyu's long blade away. Ayo-oh! A terrifying roar sounded, and in the next moment, an old figure appeared in front of the demon ancestor. The figure was not tall, and it was in the shape of a human. After the boundless and violent power withdrew, its true appearance was finally revealed. It looked like an ordinary little old man. However, Lu Xiaoyu did not dare to be careless. He would definitely not treat the old figure as an ordinary little old man. The other party had appeared from the demon ancestor's body and was summoned by him. It was absolutely terrifying. Its aura was not much weaker than Lu Xiaoyu's. What kind of technique is this? Lu Xiaoyu's eyebrows twitched as he muttered to himself. He was a little confused. First, the demon ancestor's body had nurtured a powerful world. Then he had summoned a figure. All of this showed that there was something unusual about it. Lu Xiaoyu had never heard that the demon ancestor had opened up two worlds in ancient times. At that moment, what was going on with this strange old figure? Lu Xiaoyu, prepare to die. I'll get rid of you first. Then I'll deal with Du Xiaofu. Seeing Lu Xiaoyu's shocked look, the demon ancestor sneered and said. After he said that, the old figure suddenly shouted, "Kill!" After that, he charged at Lu Xiaoyu and simply slapped out with his palm. Voila! In an instant, heaven and earth were turned upside down. The demon world was annihilated. Heaven and earth were turned upside down. Mountains and rivers rotated. The sun and moon trembled together. The terrifying power swept out and spread in all directions. This world seemed to be experiencing the end of the world. Everything was destroyed and turned into a terrifying surge of energy. It all charged at Lu Xiaoyu. Lu Xiaoyu did not dare to be negligent. The old man who suddenly appeared was very powerful. His cultivation level was also in the enchanting realm. He did not even think about it. The blood sword in his hand slashed and turned into a vast waterfall. It was like a rainbow that crossed the sky. It was also like a ferocious giant dragon that moved ferociously. Lu Xiaoyu, no matter how extraordinary you are, can you still fight one against two? The demon ancestor snorted coldly. Looking at the collision between Lu Xiaoyu and the old figure, he could not help but open his mouth and say, "To be able to make this ancestor's main body and clone come out together, you can be proud enough. Now, this ancestor will send you on your way." When Rahu's voice fell, the long scarlet hair all over his body stood up crazily. Boundless blood instantly spread out and appeared between heaven and earth. Gurgle, gurgle. In the blink of an eye, this demon world was actually filled with a boundless sea of blood. It flowed in every inch of space, creating a series of scarlet bubbles. After they exploded, it was a terrifying smell of blood. Lu Xiaoyu was in this sea of blood. He felt the invading power on his body, but he did not care too much. He retreated after exchanging a blow with the old figure. Then he directly dodged in another direction, avoiding the demon ancestor's claw that came at him. It's actually Raha's clone. Lu Xiaoyu was shocked as he fought and dodged. He was once again shocked by the demon ancestor. The other party's methods were indeed strange and unexpected. What had happened today had once again refreshed his understanding of the world. This old figure's strength was incomparably powerful. It was actually not weaker than him. Compared to Raha's main body, it was only slightly weaker. It was undeniable that under the cooperation of the main body and clone, Lu Xiaoyu had already fallen into an absolute disadvantage. He could not gain any advantage in this battle at all. He was faintly anxious. Could it be that no matter how much he calculated, he still could not outsmart the demon ancestor who had lived since ancient times until now? Raha's thoughts were completely different from Lu Xiaoyu's. He kept laughing sinisterly. The other clone also had a cold look on his face from time to time. The combination of the main body and the body was flawless. They kept attacking Lu Xiaoyu. Rahu was extremely happy. All of this was much more troublesome than he had imagined. He had actually summoned this world and his clone early. However, this was not a big deal. As long as Lu Xiaoyu and Du Xiaofu were dead, no one in this world could pose a threat to him. However, just as the demon ancestor was feeling smug, a light voice seemed to come from the end of the world. It was transmitted here and entered the ears of Rahu and Lu Xiaoyu, the physical body of the Dark Emperor. I see. This voice was fleeting and appeared very suddenly. There was no warning, and the two people in the battle did not sense it. After hearing that voice, the demon ancestor's expression changed. Even his clone, which had the shape of a human, was shaken. "So it's you." Then the demon ancestor seemed to have thought of something. He coldly said to the void, "I was wondering who the person who opened up the 3,000 sectors was. It's you. Spirit creation, are you also going to obstruct this ancestor?" His voice was hoarse and gloomy. At the same time, it was extremely loud and clear. It spread in the void, questioning the voice that had not appeared. Senior Spirit creation. On the other side, a smile appeared on Lu Xiaoyu's face, as if he had received the best news. When he first heard the voice, he had already identified the other party's identity. It was the creator of the 3,000 sectors, a fiend god who had walked out of the chaos like the demon ancestor. Senior Spirit creation. "Xiaoyu boy, I'm here to help you." The voice sounded again. Then a ray of light appeared out of thin air and exploded not far from the demon ancestor. The endless sea of blood in this world was repelled by this terrifying power, and a vacuum appeared. In the vacuum stood the figure of a middle-aged man who looked to be in his 40s. This figure was extraordinary. His body was tall and straight, and his aura was imposing. Divine light shone between his eyebrows, and his whole body exuded an extremely terrifying aura. As soon as he appeared, this figure stood in front of the demon ancestor and blocked all his attacks. The pressure on Lu Xiaoyu was immediately relieved. He only needed to face the demon ancestor's clone alone. This ancestor has always been curious. Among the 3,000 fiend gods, other than Pangu, Lord Daluo, and myself, who else came back to life and opened up the 3,000 sectors? I didn't expect it to be you. When the demon ancestor saw the imposing man appear, he stopped attacking him and said, "This ancestor will ask again. Spirit creation, are you going to stop this ancestor?" Hearing this, Lu Xiaoyu, who was fighting fiercely with the demon ancestor's clone, immediately pricked up his ears. He wanted to hear the following conversation between the two. He had realized that today he was going to learn some unimaginable secrets. These things could only be discussed by those in the enchanting realm. He had just broken through this realm and knew nothing about it. Many years ago, I began to search for the chaos and found that among the 3,000 fiend gods, other than Pangu, Lord Daluo, me, and you, Wanming also broke through the barrier. However, after searching for a long time, I couldn't find out his final whereabouts. Who would have thought that he was refined into a clone by you? This brand new demon world was also opened up by him and then forcibly occupied by you, right? Spirit creation glanced at the demon ancestor and didn't answer his question directly. Instead, he said this. Hearing such words, Lu Xiaoyu was shocked. Only then did he understand that the demon ancestor's clone was also an ancient fiend god. Moreover, this ancient fiend god had opened up a world, but for some reason it was refined and seized by the demon ancestor. Everything had become a wedding dress for the demon ancestor. Before the ancient world was opened, there was only chaos, and there were 3,000 fiend gods. When the fiend gods attacked each other, it was accompanied by the destruction of the chaos and the fall of most of the fiend gods. The strongest few fiend gods lasted until the end, broke through the chaos, and opened up their own world. The feud between Pangu and Luo was long before the chaos was opened. Therefore, They had been fighting until the demon ancestor was suppressed. The other fiend gods belonged to different camps, but they didn't interfere too much with the feud between Pangu and the demon ancestor. However, in order to defeat Pangu, Luo Ho took advantage of the time when Lord Daluo opened up the Daluo Heaven to launch a sneak attack on him. He wanted to take the Daluo Heaven for himself and use it to deal with Pangu. However, this plan failed in the end. Lord Daluo didn't let the demon ancestor succeed. Instead, he joined forces with Pangu and suppressed the demon ancestor's body in the Daluo Heaven. His primordial spirit was also divided and sealed in the 18 layers of hell. Lu Xiaoyu roughly knew that spirit creation was injured in the battle in the chaos. Because he didn't participate in that battle, he just found a place to heal himself. It wasn't until the Pangu world and the demon world were both broken that the 3,000 worlds appeared. Moreover, because of some special reasons, the 3,000 worlds were not complete. Whether it was the shape of the world or the order of the laws, they were not as good as the earliest Pangu world and the demon world. Therefore, the upper limit of the cultivation of the creatures in the 3,000 worlds was greatly limited. This was not the point. The point was that there seemed to be a fifth fiend god who walked out of the chaos. He was the Wanming mentioned by spirit creation. However, it seemed that this Wanming's fate was not smooth. After successfully creating his own world, Luo Ho took advantage of this opportunity and refined his consciousness. His body and primordial spirit became Luo Ho's clone, which was the old man who was fighting Lu Xiaoyu now. The world created by Wanming was constantly growing under the nurturing of Luo Ho's clone. This was originally a means to deal with Pangu. Unexpectedly, after the upheaval in the ancient times, it was delayed until today, when it was used to deal with Lu Xiaoyu and Du Xiaofu. You are right. After Wanming walked out of the chaos, he had been traveling with me just to deal with Pangu. However, later on, he secretly created a new world. My strength was greatly damaged in the battle with Pangu. Therefore, I took advantage of his unpreparedness and refined him into a clone. Then the new world was controlled by me. Unfortunately, when I was dealing with Lord Daluo, I was unexpectedly attacked by him. That was why I died for so many years. Otherwise, what could Pangu do to me? Luo Ho answered creation, spirit, straightforwardly. He did not hide anything from creation spirit. Lu Xiaoyu, who was standing at the side, was even more shocked. Wanming, who had been refined, was actually on the same side as Luo Ho. Because Luo Ho was severely injured and wanted to kill Pangu, he seized all of Wanming's achievements and erased him from the world. However, this could not be repeated. The demon ancestor had successfully used this method on Wanming without anyone noticing. However, when he wanted to use the same method to deal with Lord Daluo, he was resisted by Lord Daluo. Lord Daluo was so angry that he did not even care about his own life. He directly mobilized all of his strength and joined forces with Pangu to suppress Luo Ho. In the end, Lord Daluo died and could not be reborn. The Daluo sky that he created also shrank from its embryonic state until it was equivalent to a small world. Luo Ho, are you still stubborn? Is that path really what you think it is? Can it really be walked through? Creation's spirit snorted and stared at the huge demonic figure opposite him as he asked. Although he was asking a question, he did not look forward to it at all. Obviously, he thought that Luo Ho would continue to be stubborn. It was absolutely impossible for the demon ancestor, who had always wanted to destroy the world from the chaos, to change his appearance and stop killing. Creation spirit, why waste your time talking? Everyone and everything in this world will be destroyed in the hands of this ancestor, including you. You will not be able to escape from my hands. Demon ancestor Luo Ho stared at the majestic figure opposite him and suddenly laughed eerily. He continued, "Don't you want to stop me? Then let's fight. Let's see how long you and Lu Xiaoyu can last," he said in a deep voice. As soon as he finished speaking, he charged toward creation's spirit. Under Luo Ho's control, the old man refined by the fiend god Wanming attacked Lu Xiaoyu even more ferociously. This was a terrifying battle, which was equivalent to a battle between 4 illusionary realms. It was extremely terrifying. "Luo Ho, I'm afraid the one who is going to die will be you," Lu Xiaoyu said softly and lightly. After one unforeseen event after another, the strength of the two sides was almost equal again. He and creation spirit may be at a disadvantage when dealing with Luo Ho's real body and doppelganger, but they would not be defeated in a short time. On the other side of the battlefield, Du Xiaofu was holding the broadsword, purple gold, heavenly sword, and attacking crazily. The 2 Dao carrier experts of the demon clan had begun to be suppressed by him. With the help of Xiaolong, Di Batian, and Dongwang Taixian, Du Xiaofu had the absolute upper hand. It would not take too long for him to kill the 2 Dao carrier experts. Damn Du Xiaofu, how can he be so strong? The demon ancestor could not help but curse when he sensed the situation on the other side of the battlefield. No matter what, he'd never imagined that Du Xiaofu's strength would actually be able to firmly suppress 2 Dao Vessel Realm experts under the circumstances of going against 2 Dao Vessel Realm experts by himself. The purple-robed young man had mastered the power of the world. He was not someone ordinary people could deal with. Chapter 2991. During the battle with Lu Xiaoyu, demon ancestor Luo Ho had sensed Du Xiaofu's movements from Shenwu World. Knowing that Lu Xiaofu was still alive, demon ancestor Luo Ho had a bad premonition. Therefore, the first thing he wanted to do was to shake off Lu Xiaofu and attack Du Xiaofu before he recovered his strength. He wanted to use the absolute suppression of the enchanting realm to kill Lu Xiaofu. However, Lu Xiaofu was holding him back with all his might. He was fighting with his life on the line, trapping demon ancestor Luo Ho in this vast void space. Because of this, Luo Ho had no choice but to use his trump card in advance, which was a brand new demon world. Luo Ho felt that even if Du Xiaofu recovered his strength and broke through to the Dao carrier realm, he wouldn't be able to fight 1 against 2, under the suppression of 2 Dao carrier realm experts. Only death awaited the purple-robed young man. However, it seemed like demon ancestor Luo Ho had miscalculated something. Du Xiaofu controlled everything in Shenwu World. After breaking through to the Dao carrier realm, he would be able to mobilize all the power in Shenwu World to fight against his enemies. Therefore, no matter how strong the 2 Dao carrier realm experts were, they were quickly suppressed by Du Xiaofu. Moreover, as time passed, Xiaolong Di Batian and Dongwang Taixian also recovered some strength after a short period of rest. They helped Du Xiaofu from the side. In this way, the 2 Dao carrier realm experts had to endure countless sword lights from Du Xiaofu. The 2 of you should be on your way first. Prepare to welcome your Lord Demon Ancestor. The sword light in Du Xiaofu's hand flashed, and he flicked it lightly. With a chi-la sound, a terrifying stream of light slashed through the air, directly arriving in front of the Dao carrier realm expert with bone spikes growing out of his back. Facing such a sword, the Dao carrier realm expert seemed unable to dodge. He hastily blocked the attack and was sent flying back. Another wound appeared on his body, and devil blood splattered into the void. At this moment, Du Xiaofu's gaze did not move, but his mind instantly turned to the other side. He waved his arm, and 9 purple lightning, profound cauldrons appeared. With a rumbling sound, they crushed the void and surrounded the devil, who was covered in pitch-black scales. The 9 cauldrons were like gigantic mountain peaks, crashing down with a loud bang, forcing the devil into a desperate situation step by step. Du Xiaofu controlled the world force of Shenwu World, and the amount of power he could command was not something an ordinary Dao carrier realm cultivator could compare to. The divine martial world was created by Empyrean Absolute and was now under Du Xiaofu's complete control. This meant that Du Xiaofu could borrow a portion of Empyrean Absolute's power, a portion of the strength of a Dao vessel realm expert, was absolutely terrifying when executed by a Dao Vessel Realm expert. Under Du Xiaofu's repeated attacks, the two Dao Vessel Realm experts were bathed in blood, and their auras rapidly weakened. As time passed, he finally pierced through the body of the devil who had bone spikes on his back. A terrifying amount of energy poured into the devil's body and madly collided with it. Pu piu piu! In just a few short breaths of time, sharp rays of light shot out from the devil's body, and it was as if a sharp blade had sliced it open from the inside out. Go to hell! Du Xiaofu lightly snorted, and his figure flashed, disappearing from the spot. In the next instant, he appeared behind the devil powerhouse. In his hand was a ball of red light, which was trembling and jumping. This was the primordial spirit of the devil powerhouse. Under the suppression of Du Xiaofu's terrifying power, it was still resisting. However, under the pressure of the world force, no matter how much it resisted, it was useless. Du Xiaofu lightly snorted from his throat, and then the power in his palm burst forth, and his 10 fingers suddenly clenched. Rip! A muffled sound reverberated, and the primordial spirit was instantly crushed, turning into ashes. Run! When the other Dao Vessel Realm expert saw this scene, he was instantly gutted. Du Xiaofu's strength had greatly exceeded his expectations. It was really too terrifying. Even a Dao Vessel Realm expert seemed to be so weak in front of this purple-robed youth. Without thinking, this devil covered in pitch-black scales immediately began to flee into the distance. His companion had already died, and if he didn't leave now, he wouldn't be able to live for long. Do you think I let you escape? Seeing this situation, Du Xiaofu chuckled. Then his figure rushed out, and the purple gold heavenly tower in his hand slashed out again. Before this, the 9 purple lightning profound cauldrons had already followed closely behind, and their speed was not the slightest bit slower than the fleeing devil powerhouse. At this time, Du Xiaofu raised his sword and attacked again. When this unparalleled sword light flashed past, a sound like metal clashing rang out, and the sharp friction between the purple gold heavenly tower sword light and the devil's body emitted a sharp sound. But very quickly, the sound of friction suddenly turned into a muffled piu sound. Then the devil's body was cut in half at the waist and was immediately engulfed by the 9 purple lightning profound cauldrons. It's done. Looking at this scene, Xiaolong, Dibatian, and Donghuang Taixian stood in the distance, and their hearts all relaxed. The 2 Dao Vessel Realm experts of the devil race were originally able to crush the 33 heavens and the 3,000 boundless worlds. Unfortunately, they encountered Du Xiaofu, who had just recovered and rushed here. Although the 2 of them held on for a long time in the hands of the purple-robed youth, they could not escape the fate of death in the end. Xiaolong and the others' eyes flashed. They saw that the 9 purple lightning profound cauldrons had returned to Du Xiaofu's side, but the second Dao Vessel Realm expert of the devil race was no longer there. Damn it! Du Xiaofu, I swear to kill you. In the devil world, the devil ancestor screamed crazily. He desperately wanted to rush out and personally deal with Du Xiaofu, but he was tightly held back by Lu Xiaoyu. The devil ancestor's doppelganger was also madly fighting with creation spirit, and there was no way to get rid of him. In the battle, all of them exerted their full strength, including Lu Xiaoyu and creation spirit. They all knew the truth. If they did not force the devil into a desperate situation, the other party was likely to form a terrible counterattack. Once the devil ancestor went all out to kill, the creatures of the 33 heavens and the 3,000 boundless worlds would suffer heavy casualties. At that time, it would be difficult for the 2 of them to stop him. If that was the case, even if they finally fought the devil ancestor to death, what was the point? It was precisely because of this that Lu Xiaoyu and creation spirit were entangled with the devil ancestor's body. In particular, the battle between Lu Xiaoyu and the devil ancestor's body was extremely terrifying. The 2 of them had already fought to a certain point, and each of them had suffered heavy injuries. At this time, the battle was even crazier. Chi-la! the four figures were engaged in a fierce battle in the vast devil world. Such a side of the world was constantly shaking under the terrible power swept by, and the sky and earth were turned upside down. Every move of the few of them not only destroyed the physical form of the world, but also could cut off the invisible rules and order. Crack! At some point in time, a soft sound was suddenly heard, like the sound of porcelain shattering. Then, similar sounds were heard more and more. In a short time, there were no less than a dozen sounds. Boom! But at a certain moment, after a wave of terrifying tremors, the demon world was blasted apart, and it turned into over a dozen enormous fragments. Moreover, there were countless tiny fragments that disintegrated and shot out in all directions. Such a broken world was extremely terrifying, and it caused countless Devil Clan creatures to die an unnatural death, without the slightest ability to resist. Under the arrival of the strongest apocalypse in the world, most creatures had no ability to escape at all. What's more, those powerful devil clans in the meditative and immortal realms were fighting with the experts of the 33 heavens and the 3,000 sectors outside at this time. Kill. Such a situation did not have the slightest impact on Lu Xiaoyu, Creation Spirit, Luoho, and their clones. They were still engaged in a terrible battle. Figures shuttled back and forth in the sky, full of fragments, colliding and fighting crazily. Devil Ancestor, this day has finally come. At this time, Du Xiaofu had dealt with the 2 carrier realm experts of the Devil Clan and rushed into the broken world. Looking at the terrible battle in the 4 sides, he could not help but murmur. He did not directly participate in other things, because he knew that with his current strength of the carrier realm, he could not play a big role in this battle. Of course, in the case of controlling the power of Shenwu world, if he went all out, he could still cause a little trouble to the Devil Ancestor. But it was limited to just a little trouble. Therefore, Du Xiaofu was waiting for the Devil Clan to fight to an extreme point before his senior brother and the others. At that time, it would be the best time for him to take action. Du Xiaofu, give me your life. Seeing Du Xiaofu come near, the Devil Ancestor shouted and rushed towards him. Du Xiaofu's figure flashed, and he dodged in another direction, but the Devil Ancestor was blocked by Lu Xiaoyu again. He was not stupid. How could he stand still and let the Devil Ancestor attack? After the previous sneak attack, Du Xiaofu was completely avoiding the Devil Ancestor at this time, changing his position from time to time, not giving him any chance to get close. Coupled with Lu Xiaoyu and Creation Spirit's suppression. Even if the Devil Ancestor's cultivation was a realm higher than Du Xiaofu, he still could not do anything to him. Today, let's end it here. In the battle, Lu Xiaoyu's aura suddenly changed, and his whole person was like a terrifying long sword, emitting a cold and sharp aura. A large amount of 5-colored light rushed out from his body, and all of it wrapped around the Devil Ancestor, tightly entangling him in it. This 5-colored light contained an unimaginably deep power, and it was shocking. As the qi flowed, the power of the great Tao rose, and the qi of chaos burst out, turning into a power that could strangle everything, crazily tearing at the Devil Ancestor's body. Roar! A terrible roar burst out from the Devil Ancestor's throat. The scarlet hair all over his body danced wildly, driven by Lu Xiaoyu's power, breaking out of his body in clumps. Large areas of bloody marks appeared on the surface of his body. Lu Xiaoyu, this ancestor is going to tear you apart. The Devil Ancestor yelled and charged straight for Lu Xiaoyu, a claw swiftly swinging out. With a ripping sound, Lu Xiaoyu's chest was directly torn apart by this claw. He actually did not dodge at all. And at the same time, the long saber in his hand, Blood Slaughter, also directly stabbed into the Devil Ancestor's heart. This attack between the 2 people was actually a fighting method of exchanging a life for a life. Kill! Lu Xiaoyu received the Devil Ancestor's attack, and after his own attack also succeeded, his other fist waved again, charging towards the Devil Ancestor once more. He did not have the intention of dodging at all, and actually wanted to take this opportunity to fight it out with the other party again. In an instant, the devil ancestor roared angrily again and again, shaking heaven and earth. This side of the world was already beaten until it was broken. The battle between the few illusionary realms was also boundlessly horrifying, carrying out a terrifying consumption of each other. The devil ancestor was clearly unwilling to be forcefully consumed by Lu Xiaoyu like this. But all of this was already very difficult to change because of his will. This battle was forever unavoidable. Furthermore, the strong and weak situation between both sides was also very difficult to change. Therefore, even if the devil ancestor chose to avoid the battle at this time, he still could not escape the final result that he had to face. What he needed to strive for now was to kill one of Lu Xiaoyu and Creation Spirit, two people first. Only then could he grasp a stronger and true chance of victory. If not, he would only be the Oriole behind Du Xiaofu. Hence, the devil ancestor himself was also fighting with all his might, constantly looking for opportunities, only wanting to bring serious damage to Lu Xiaoyu's Creation Spirit. Huff, huff! Du Xiaofu had been watching all of this from not far away. His figure drifted, changing to another place from time to time. In his hand, he was even holding the purple gold heavenly fault all the time. The aura all over his body was also brewing all along, seemingly planning to take action at any time to deal a sure-kill blow to the devil ancestor. As time passed quickly, the terrifying battle lasted for a very, very long time. In the end, both Lu Xiaoyu and the devil ancestor fought to a very terrifying extent. Both of them were severely injured. Their physical bodies were ruined, and their primordial spirits were terrifyingly damaged. As his cultivation was slightly weaker than the devil ancestors, Lu Xiaoyu's situation was even more miserable. He had already exhausted himself to the limit and no longer had the strength to continue fighting. He needed time to recover. It's time for me to make a move. Seeing such a scene, Du Xiaofu could not help but tighten his grip on the broadsword in his hand. Then he stepped into the air and headed straight for the devil ancestor. His gaze did not move as he looked at the tall devil's body. At this time, the other party's flesh and blood were tumbling. It was a hideous scene. It was as miserable as it could be. It was like a monkey in distress. However, Du Xiaofu did not let his guard down. The person in front of him was the devil ancestor. Even if he was severely injured, he still had an immortal body. He could not afford to be careless. Junior brother, I'll leave the rest to you. Lu Xiaoyu's physical body was broken, and his primordial spirit was on the verge of being destroyed. He began to adjust his breathing as he spoke to Du Xiaofu. He had already done his best. He had dragged the devil ancestor to this point. Now it was up to Du Xiaofu. Don't worry, senior brother. Du Xiaofu nodded. He was not in a hurry to attack the devil ancestor. As he walked in the void, he observed the devil ancestor. At the same time, he asked Lu Xiaoyu, senior brother, there is something I want to know. Can you tell me now? As he spoke, Du Xiaofu did not look at Lu Xiaoyu. He continued to stare at the devil ancestor without moving. When Lu Xiaoyu heard him ask this, he gently opened his eyes. He knew what Du Xiaofu was asking about, and he knew that he did not want to know about the devil ancestor's secrets. However, because he was facing off against the devil ancestor, he was quite nervous, so he naturally asked. Even though he knew this, Lu Xiaoyu did not plan on hiding anything. He said to Du Xiaofu, ask whatever you want to know. Today, senior brother will not hide anything from you. He lightly let out a breath as he stared at the devil ancestor. Why am I the only one in this world who can kill the devil ancestor, Rahu? Du Xiaofu softly asked as he walked. This was something he had been wondering about. He had never received an answer, and Lu Xiaoyu had never told him. Even though Du Xiaofu had some guesses, he could not prove anything, so he still wanted to ask. Because you are the ruler of the Shan Wu world. Right now, half of Rahu is a being of the Shan Wu world, right? So his indestructible body is nothing in front of you. Lu Xiaoyu did not hide anything and said this. Hearing this, Du Xiaofu's expression did not change at all. He was very calm. This explanation was completely within his imagination. The devil ancestor's body was suppressed in the Daluocean for countless years. It was not until he gained a new consciousness that he was revived. He became Jiangqin. The reason he gained consciousness in the Daluocean was because he borrowed the Daluocean's rules and order, and he was added with that world's unique attributes. Even after the devil ancestor fused all 18 layers of his primordial spirit, he could not get rid of this attribute. From a certain perspective, he was already half a being of the Daluocean, so he was naturally restricted by Du Xiaofu. Therefore, if the devil ancestor stood there and let Du Xiaofu kill him, he would definitely die. Even the indestructible body could not save him. Du Xiaofu had guessed this a long time ago. Now that he had Lu Xiaofu's confirmation, he could finally put down one of his doubts. However, there were still many things that he could not figure out. Could all of this be a scheme set up by Empyrean Daluocean and great god Pangu, so that the devil ancestor could become a being of the Daluocean, so that he could be killed in the end and lose his greatest advantage? Du Xiaofu could not help but ask Lu Xiaofu again. He had reason to guess this because all of this was too coincidental. If this was not deliberately arranged by someone, Du Xiaofu would only think that there was no such thing in this world. If that was the case, such a terrifying scheme was even more terrifying than the ancient suppression of the devil ancestor, and its influence would be even more far-reaching. I'm afraid it can't be considered a scheme. As far as I know, all of this might just be an idea. The terrifying, great god Pangu and Empyrean Daluocean never thought that such an idea would be realized one day. Lu Xiaofu said softly as he watched Du Xiaofu stand in front of the heavily injured Rahu. His heart skipped a beat as he nervously looked at the field. Chapter 2992. Lu Xiaoyu's eyes narrowed as he watched Du Xiaofu approach the demon ancestor. He knew that a terrifying battle would erupt between the two of them in the next moment. The demon ancestor's strength was greatly damaged, and Du Xiaofu's cultivation was weaker. Their combat power was about the same, and Du Xiaofu still had a chance to take the initiative. However, the closer they were to the end, the more nervous Lu Xiaoyu became. Under his gaze, Du Xiaofu stood in front of the demon ancestor, not in a hurry to make a move. Instead, he stared at the tall, broken demonic body in front of him. It doesn't matter if the two seniors, Pangu and Exalted Heavenly Lord, really planned this, but one thing can't be changed. All of this has already become an established fact, and I am the one who can kill him. Du Xiaofu spoke softly. His gaze did not waver, and his words were filled with killing intent. However, there was not much fluctuation in his voice. In the ancient war, whether or not Pangu and Exalted Heavenly Lord had really planned this, the method to make the demon ancestor become half of Exalted Heaven's life form and destroy his immortal body was already an established fact. Now, Du Xiaofu was the ruler of Exalted Heaven, and the demon ancestor was at least half of Exalted Heaven's life form. Naturally, his life could be harvested by Du Xiaofu. All of this seemed to have been planned long ago. When Lu Xiaoyu heard Du Xiaofu's words, he nodded and continued. Perhaps the two seniors didn't expect that they would be able to come this far. The strongest method they left behind at that time wasn't to suppress the demon ancestor in Exalted Heaven. Then what was it? Du Xiaofu's eyebrows did not even twitch as he asked Lu Xiaoyu. All of his attention was focused on the demon ancestor. Junior brother, do you know the uniqueness of the Du family's bloodline? Lu Xiaoyu suddenly changed the topic and asked. These words came out of nowhere. If other people heard it, they might be very surprised. However, Du Xiaofu was not surprised. When he recovered from the Du family's sarcophagus, he faintly felt that he had an even more unimaginable secret. Therefore, after Lu Xiaoyu asked the question, the purple-robed young man did not speak and only listened quietly. In this world, not everyone can control the laws and order of Shenwu world. Only the descendants of the Du family can truly comprehend the laws and principles there. Du Xiaofu's calm demeanor didn't surprise Lu Xiaoyu at all as he continued. Otherwise, wouldn't the demon lord, the demon ancestor, me, and the others all become the rulers of Shen Wu world? When will it be your turn, junior martial brother? After Lu Xiaoyu's explanation, Du Xiaofu naturally understood. So the Du family's bloodline had such a unique characteristic. No wonder everything was so coincidental. In the immemorial age, the one who had the heavenly body was the ancestor of the Du family, and many years later, the one who controlled the heavenly body was Du Xiaofu again. Otherwise, among the countless outstanding people since ancient times, there would be many who could steal the heavenly body of Shen Wu world. No matter what, it would never be Du Xiaofu's turn. At the very least, his senior martial brother and the powerhouses of the 3,000 boundless worlds behind him had countless people who were many times stronger than Du Xiaofu. Furthermore, the most outstanding ancestor of the Du family, who had the heavenly body, must have a lot to do with this. The past is the past. I can only guess a few things. That is, before the great Luo Tianzuan passed away, he made some slight changes to the Du family's bloodline, causing your bloodline to look very ordinary. However, within this ordinariness, there are many variables. And it just so happens that in the generation of your Du family's heavenly body ancestor and your own generation, there really are variables. Lu Xiaoyu said with a smile. After he finished speaking, he took a deep breath. The previous battle with the demon ancestor had already exhausted him to the extreme. At this time, his body was seriously injured, and after talking so much with Du Xiaofu, he almost couldn't hold on any more. He hurriedly took a deep breath and secretly adjusted his breathing, no longer speaking. In another direction, the battle between the creation spirit and the demon ancestor's avatar was extremely terrifying. Under the vibration of the energy of the two, the shattered world once again turned into even more fragments. However, the demon ancestor's avatar did not fight with the creation spirit. He tried his best to rush over and stop Du Xiaofu from attacking the demon ancestor, but under the obstruction of the creation spirit, he could not do so. Du Xiaofu, you want to kill this ancestor? Wishful thinking. This ancestor admits that there is something special in your body, but you do not have enough strength to fight with this ancestor. In front of Du Xiaofu, the demon ancestor was silent for a long time. Then he suddenly shouted. Immediately, his body suddenly rose and rushed toward Du Xiaofu. The pair of sharp claws brazenly tore down in the void, tearing the sky and the earth into pieces. This attack was so sudden that it was difficult for people to react. It seemed that he had been preparing for this attack for a long time. Before Du Xiaofu could react, the demon ancestor's claws had already grabbed his chest. "Junior brother, be careful!" Lu Xiaoyu exclaimed. He was almost scared to death by this scene. Du Xiaofu could not have any accidents. Now he was counting on him to suppress the demon ancestor. However, the situation in front of him was too unexpected. It was obvious that the demon ancestor had deliberately prepared for this for a long time. He was determined to kill Du Xiaofu with one blow. Boy! In the distance, creation spirit also looked over, his eyes filled with horror. Under his gaze, the purple-robed young man did not dodge the demon ancestor's attack. Instead, he allowed the other party's sharp claws to tear open his chest. At the same time, the scene seemed to have stopped. Several people saw that Du Xiaofu's body had been torn in half by the demon ancestor. However, one of his hands was slightly raised, and in his hand was a broadsword that was bursting with light. The broadsword went straight forward and stabbed into the demon ancestor's chest. Endless power burst out from the purple-gold heavenly palace and rushed into the demon ancestor's body. It began a crazy strangulation and destroyed his vitality. The demon ancestor's immortal body was quickly destroyed by Du Xiaofu's broadsword. I was waiting for you to make a sneak attack. Du Xiaofu's body, which had been cut in half, suddenly made such a sound. Then, under everyone's gaze, the two halves of the body began to slowly close and gradually return to their original appearance. Du Xiaofu looked as if he was not injured, but his aura was much weaker. Du Xiaofu, you, in front of the purple-robed young man, the towering and burly demon, looked at him in disbelief and said in disbelief, "Junior brother." On the side, Lu Xiaoyu cried out in surprise. He could naturally sense that the demon ancestor's vitality was rapidly draining. His body was quickly crushed by Du Xiaofu's power and turned into nothingness. Luo Ho's immortal body, which he was so proud of, was no longer truly immortal because he had absorbed the power of the divine battle world and produced spiritual life. It was only now that the people on the battlefield realized that the one who had launched the sneak attack was not the demon ancestor, but Du Xiaofu. The purple-robed young man had been waiting for the demon ancestor to make a move. When he was talking to Lu Xiaoyu, he had purposely revealed some flaws, but it seemed that all of his attention was still focused on the demon ancestor. Such an arrangement was flawless. The demon ancestor had also fallen into Du Xiaofu's trap. He had expected that Du Xiaofu would definitely dodge the sneak attack, but he did not expect that kid to be prepared and give him a fatal blow. "I am your heavenly Tao. A part of your life was given by me. If you want to kill me, it won't be that easy," Du Xiaofu said to the demon ancestor as he stood still and maintained his posture of stabbing. It had to be said that Luo Ho was Luo Ho after all. After all, he was an ancient god that had walked out of chaos. That attack had caused great damage to Du Xiaofu. However, his life was not in danger. "Ha! Good." Lu Xiaofu suddenly laughed and looked at Du Xiaofu with satisfaction. "Du Xiaofu, Lu Xiaofu, creation spirit, I will kill you all." The demon ancestor's body finally collapsed. The huge demonic shadow slowly disappeared and turned into a thick cloud of black smoke. Before all of his vitality was completely destroyed, the demon ancestor's remaining primordial spirit flashed and entered his doppelganger, which was the body of the god called Wan Ming. "Luo Ho, you'd better accept your fate. Things have come to this point. You can no longer change the result." Creation spirit snorted and said in front of Wan Ming's old body. Luo Ho's real body had been destroyed, and only his doppelganger was left. He really could not make any big waves. On their side, in addition to creation spirit, there were also Lu Xiaofu and Du Xiaofu. Although these two guys were seriously injured and needed time to recover, they still had the upper hand. But in this way, they would have the absolute initiative, and they would no longer fear Luo Ho. "Luo Ho, your real body has been destroyed. Even if this doppelganger is left, it will not be as powerful as before. What's more, your greatest advantage, the immortal body, is gone. Why don't you just commit suicide and die? Is there a need to continue to struggle?" Lu Xiaofu said mockingly as he glanced at Luo Ho's doppelganger. Now that things had developed to this point, he was completely relieved. All the arrangements had been made. Just as Lu Xiaoyu had said, even if Luo Ho still had a powerful doppelganger left, it was not his real body after all. The so-called immortal body no longer existed. Luo Ho really had no chance to resist. Stupid human. Luo Ho's doppelganger sneered when he heard Lu Xiaofu's words. He suddenly sneered at him and said, "An ant will always be an ant. As a postnatal creature, no matter how high your cultivation is, how can you understand the ultimate mystery of this world?" Luo Ho spoke as if he was looking at lowly insects. He looked down on Lu Xiaofu and Du Xiaofu with the strongest disdain. His words caused Lu Xiaoyu and Du Xiaofu to be stunned. They couldn't help but look at each other. Was there any ultimate mystery in this world that they did not know, but Luo Ho clearly knew? Therefore, the two of them could not help but be curious. They wanted to hear what Luo Ho had to say. "Even if I die, you can't escape the final judgment of fate. All living beings are no exception. One day, you will face the final judgment of God." Luo Ho sneered. Suddenly, he changed the topic and said, "You may know where this world came from, but I'm afraid you don't know where it will all go in the end." As Luo Ho spoke, he recovered the strength he had consumed. In this regard, creation's spirit did not stop him. He, Lu Xiaofu, and Du Xiaofu were also trying to recover their strength. The three of them listened quietly together. They just wanted to hear what Luo Ho would say in the end. As time slowly passed, Luo Ho explained some secrets to Du Xiaofu and Lu Xiaofu in an absolutely aloof manner. Everyone knew that the world was created by ancient gods and demons, and these gods and demons were born from the chaos. In that case, how did chaos appear? The chaos came from nothing and gave birth to the gods and demons. The gods and demons walked out of the chaos, opened up the world, and gave birth to countless living beings, which are you ants. But don't think that all of this is the end. Don't naively think that everything in the world will continue like this from now on, because one day, everything will return to its original place. You ants will eventually die without a burial place. Even the evanescent realm can't avoid it. Keek keek. At the end of his speech, Luo Ho actually began to laugh strangely with excitement, especially when he looked at Du Xiaofu and Lu Xiaofu. His eyes were full of sarcasm and mockery. Indeed, in his eyes, even if these two people were so formidable now that they were sufficient to affect him, Rahu still looked down upon them, because they were living beings after the heavens, and they were utterly unable to understand what the greatest terror in the world was. So it's really like this. Lu Xiaofu was not moved by Luo Ho's mockery. He sighed to himself. Before breaking through to the evanescent realm, he also had a deep understanding of the concept of nothing and followed that train of thought. In the end, he really successfully took the crucial step. The concepts that Lu Xiaofu had mastered all came from legends. No one could prove everything and tell him that chaos really came from nothing, and that all the worlds would eventually return to nothing. So when he heard what Luo Ho said at this time, he couldn't help but feel a little amazed. Return to nothing! Du Xiaofu's brows moved slightly and murmured. It was the first time he heard such a thing, but he didn't feel too much awe, because all of this only existed in legends, and there was no sense of urgency at all. So to Du Xiaofu, Luo Ho's words were simply flirting with a blind man. It didn't have any sarcastic or shocking effect. Stupid humans, insignificant ants. The world's greatest disaster. But you don't care at all and don't have the slightest awe. It seemed that Lu Xiaofu and Du Xiaofu's reactions were not as expected. Luo Ho was indignant and continued to say, "Ignorant humans, how can you know that everything I do is to prevent the world from returning to nothing and being completely annihilated? But you ants have stopped me time and time again, including Pangu, Lord Daluo, and you, Creation Spirit. You are all ignorant and unenlightened." At the end of his words, Luo Ho looked sad and indignant. Hearing his words, Creation Spirit didn't say anything, as if he had adopted a tacit attitude towards everything. Du Xiaofu and Lu Xiaofu finally turned their eyes to Creation Spirit and asked something with their eyes. They were no longer as indifferent as they were in the beginning. They only thought that even if there was such a great calamity, it would definitely not happen right before their eyes. Moreover, even if it did happen, no one would be able to stop it. Since that was the case, why should they be worried for nothing? Now, when Du Xiaofu and Lu Xiaofu saw Creation Spirit's serious expression, they couldn't help but have an inexplicable feeling in their hearts. Was it really as serious as Luo Ho said? As if to answer the two, Creation Spirit nodded gently and said, "Everything starts from nothing and returns to nothing. This is an established law, and no one knows when that day will come. Just like creating something out of nothing. It is so sudden and without warning. So, over the years, I have been searching for this ultimate secret, but I have gained nothing. I can't find any way to change the final direction." Creation Spirit's words were filled with a sense of loss. Du Xiaofu didn't know, but Lu Xiaofu knew that Creation Spirit had been missing all these years. He had just returned from the battle with the demon ancestor. He had gone to search for some of the secrets of the world. Back then, Lu Xiaoyu had also tried to find him, but he had failed. However, it was that experience that allowed Lu Xiaofu to gain a lot of benefits and new insights, which laid a solid foundation for him to break through to the enchanting state. Now that creation spirit personally agreed with Luo Ho's words, Du Xiaofu and Lu Xiaofu suddenly felt that things might be more serious than they had imagined. Chaos, the world, living beings, all things, the origin of all these was nothing. Their end was also nothing. That was to say, no one could escape the fate of returning to nothing. Luo Ho, creation spirit, and even Pangu, Lord Daluo, and the others might have tried to stop this from happening. However, with their ability, it seemed that they couldn't stop all this. The power of nothing was so powerful that it could create something out of nothing and cover everything. Everything I have done is to break through nothing, so as to escape the fate of ultimate extinction. You ants, how would you know that this ancestor's actions are a grand plan of eternity? Luo Ho almost began to roar. He pointed at Du Xiaofu and Lu Xiaofu and said angrily, as if he was scolding the two of them for being stupid and ignorant. Chapter 2993. Du Xiaofu and Lu Xiaoyu felt the demon ancestor's disdainful gaze. According to Luo Ho himself, everything he did was to prevent the world from evolving into nothingness, which would lead to the end of all life. If that was the case, then it was indeed a great plan to be able to resist the will of nothing. What kind of strength did one need to accomplish this? Of course, Du Xiaofu and Lu Xiaoyu were not fools. They would not believe the demon ancestor's one-sided words. Besides, even if he really had such a grand idea, it could not hide the fact that his actions were cruel and bloody. It could not change the fact that he was the enemy of the 33 heavens, the 3,000 boundless worlds, and the Dalu Ocean. So the power of nothingness is so great. It's much more terrifying than I thought. Lu Xiaoyu murmured softly, his heart filled with emotion. He broke through to the almighty realm with the help of the concept of nothingness. His body turned into nothingness, and then he was reborn from nothingness. Then he broke through the final barrier. After such an experience, Lu Xiaoyu naturally grasped some of the essence of nothingness. It was similar to controlling a part of the power of origin. It was only after hearing what the demon ancestor and spirit creator had said that he realized that the power of nothing was much stronger than he had imagined. It was as if nothingness was not something that any living creature could touch. Even the great god Pangu, heavenly lord Daluo, demon ancestor Luo Ho, creation spirit, and other ancient gods and demons could not do it. If there really came a day when the world collapsed and was annihilated into dust, then it would return to nothingness. Even the chaotic gods and demons with almighty bodies would not be able to escape death. The reason for the chaotic battle of the 3,000 gods and demons in the ancient chaos was because of this. When everyone realized that the chaotic world would come to an end one day, they began to think of ways to end this day, because no one could predict when that day would come. Just like when this world appeared, it was so sudden and without warning. The 3,000 gods and demons all had their own ideas. Some thought that they could interfere with the evolution of the world. After the chaos was broken, they could create a new world and gain a new foothold. They could get a chance to breathe and slowly find the final solution. Some thought that only by breaking and building can one see the origin. Many people had this idea. Luo Ho, Luo Ho, Luo Ho was determined to destroy everything. They felt that as long as they destroy the world, when they destroy the world, they would have the chance to understand the mystery of the mystery and find the way to break the of nothingness. Creation, spirit creation, said Du Xiaofu and Lu Xiaoyu, and creation, spirit creation again. At the end of his words, he looked again at Luo Ho, the demon ancestor. It was not difficult for Du Xiaofu and Lu Xiaoyu to understand these words. They knew that among those gods and demons who thought that they could interfere with the evolution of the world, step by step, gain a new foothold, and then find new opportunities, there should be Pangu. The other gods, such as Lord Daluo and Creation Spirit, might not be on the same side as Pangu, but they did not reject his ideas. The other was the demon ancestor. His purpose was to destroy the world, which was contrary to what Pangu and the others did. Naturally, they had conflicts and gradually became incompatible. After Creation Spirit Creation's explanation, Du Xiaofu and Lu Xiaoyu understood more clearly. They had to admire Luo Ho and the others. They wanted to destroy the whole world and use this opportunity to break the foundation of the of-nothingness, so as to avoid real destruction. Only by breaking the of-nothingness can the world be truly eternal, and life can be truly outstanding. If you can't achieve eternity, you can't escape death. Even if you live for thousands of years, what's the difference? Luo Ho spoke again. His face looked a little old, but at this time he was hale and hearty, as if he had taken a great tonic, and his face was ruddy. It was conceivable that these things discussed with Du Xiaofu and the others had restored the madness of ancient times. As long as I succeed, I can bring a brand new prosperity to everyone, a world that will never be destroyed. It is a place where many people can find eternity. Luo Ho spoke again, almost roaring. And what can Pangu bring? Everything he has done is just to prolong his life. All escape is useless. If you don't see the scenery at the end, you can't stop what is going to happen there. What a fool's dream! Du Xiaofu and Lu Xiaoyu did not answer for a long time. They were both lost in thought. Eternity, this was probably the result that everyone wanted to achieve. For the beings of the 33 heavens, the 3,000 boundless worlds, and Shenwu world, the purpose of cultivation was to increase their strength and obtain a longer lifespan. After entering the immortal realm, one could be said to be immortal for thousands of years, indestructible for thousands of years. It could be considered as eternal life, unless the world was destroyed and the beings lost their footing. Besides that, a very small number of people like Lu Xiaoyu were able to break through into the Tao-bearer realm and inscribe a Tao of their own, allowing them to be independent of the mortal world. Even if the large world was obliterated into dust, they would be able to remain unmoved and preserve their bodies to continue existing in the world. They would be able to endure through the ages and experience a myriad of tribulations to become eternal. However, even if the Tao-bearer realm was strong to such an extent that they did not need to rely on the world to carry them, and even had their own independent Tao, it was impossible to avoid the power of nothingness, not to mention the Tao-bearer realm. Even the final Tao-bearer realm was the same, because everything in the world, visible and invisible, tangible and intangible, all came from nothingness. Nothingness gave birth to everything, and could also erode everything. No matter who it was, as long as they could break through nothingness, they could obtain the strongest power and prove eternity. There was a great chance that they could make the whole world exist eternally. The beings living in this world naturally did not need to worry about the so-called destruction. In this way, Luo Ho's words seemed to carry a strong sense of savior. However, after hearing this, Creation Spirit snorted in disdain. Luo Ho stopped dreaming. Wake up and take a good look at your current situation. Creation Spirit said softly to Luo Ho, "You are not qualified to be compared with Pangu." What he did was to fight for the last chance of survival. Once he succeeded, the world would be preserved. But if he failed, he would also perish with all beings. He was just facing an unavoidable fate. But you, Luo Ho, are doing this for your own selfish purpose. As you said, if you really prove the power of eternity, you will have a chance to re-establish the boundless world and make it the ultimate land of eternity. But before that, the Pangu world, the 3,000 boundless worlds, the Dalu Ocean, and even the Devil world that you created, as well as us chaotic creatures, will all die in your hands. When all living beings die, the world will be completely destroyed and turned into nothingness. Only then will it be time for you to truly comprehend nothingness. Here, I want to ask you, Luo Ho, what right do you have to stand at the highest position and judge the life and death of others just to fulfill your own wish? Creation's spirit said to the devil ancestor with strong disdain, especially when he said the last sentence. He was full of contempt. Hearing this, Du Xiaofu and Lu Xiaoyu finally understood everything. They all knew that Pangu walked the Tao of all beings, but they did not know there was such a layer of things in it. The ancient fiend god who created the Pangu world allowed the world to continue and the living beings to survive. He took all of this step by step to pursue the ultimate nothingness, waiting to finally prove eternity with the whole world. Even if he failed, he would just perish with all living beings and turn into nothingness. This was a result that was destined to be, and it was reasonable that it could not be changed. But Luo Ho was different. Everything he did was for himself. At this time, the body he occupied was the fiend god named Wan Ming, who was also on the same side as Luo Ho. But he died tragically in Luo Ho's hands, and even his own body and the world he created fell into the hands of the devil ancestor. What Luo Ho wanted was destruction. In the face of the resistance of countless living beings, he would use slaughter to open up a devil's domain and dominate it. Therefore, he created the devil world and gave birth to the 9 devil generals and other powerful beings to compete with the living beings of the Pangu world. His purpose was to destroy everything. If he succeeded in his slaughter, the 33 heavens, the 3,000 boundless worlds, and the divine martial world would all be destroyed, and all living beings would die. Then it would be his turn to kill the living beings of the devil world, who would also be slaughtered by the devil ancestor. This was his Tao, the Tao of slaughter, the Tao of destruction, evolving in slaughter, rebirth in destruction, and pursuing eternity. This was the result Luo Ho wanted. Stupid guy. You are as stupid as Pangu and Heavenly Master Daluo. Ha ha ha. After a series of sarcastic questions from creation spirit, Luo Ho laughed sinisterly and said, "In this world, only I have the opportunity to see the final step." His smile was extremely carefree, as if he had seen the ultimate nothingness and understood its mystery. His pride was beyond words. "Luo Ho, don't you think it's too early for you to be happy?" Du Xiaofu said in a deep voice. He moved his injured body reluctantly, turned to Luo Ho, who was laughing sinisterly, and interrupted his laughter. "Don't talk nonsense. Let's continue the battle. I'd like to see what ability you have today, Luo Ho, to continue your crazy actions in this desperate situation." Creation's spirit said aloud, took a step forward, and closed in on Luo Ho. On the other side, Lu Xiaoyu had recovered some of his strength at this time. Although he was still far from the peak, he was slowly closing in on Luo Ho. This was the final battle. As long as Luo Ho was killed, the crisis of the devil world would be completely eliminated. The great calamity that spanned from the ancient times to the present would also be completely ended. As for the destruction of the world into nothingness, it was a problem that Du Xiaofu and Lu Xiaoyu should consider at this time. 1 against 3. Luo Ho, you have no chance. Du Xiaofu said softly, slowly accumulating the strength in his body. He saw that creation spirit and Lu Xiaoyu were both moving, but he did not move. His cultivation was much lower than the other 3, so he could not directly participate in the next battle. However, Du Xiaofu was also preparing, just like before, waiting for the right time to give Luo Ho a fatal blow. The 3 of them all believed that Luo Ho only had one doppelganger now, and even the advantage of the immortal body had been lost. Only death was left for him. Kill. Creation's spirit did not delay any longer and directly attacked. He stretched out his palm leisurely. It seemed ordinary and simple, but the power of this palm was beyond doubt. In the face of his attack, Luo Ho's doppelganger directly dodged and did not fight with creation spirit. He dodged quickly, but creation spirit's speed was also extremely fast, leaving no way for Luo Ho to retreat. Ha ha ha! While Luo Ho was desperately dodging, he still let out a burst of sinister laughter. At the same time, he said from his throat, "I know that I can't fight the 3 of you today, but that's not important. Since everything is out of my control, then I might as well go even crazier. Ha ha ha. Luo Ho was not stupid. Of course, he could see the situation in front of him clearly. He knew the strength of creation spirit, Lu Xiaoyu and Du Xiaofu. With his own strength, it was impossible for him to escape from the hands of these three people. The advantage of the immortal body had been lost, so Luo Ho also gave up fighting head-on with creation spirit and the other two. While he was dodging the pursuit of creation spirit, at the same time, the power in his body suddenly surged. Waves of fierce devil qi quickly evaporated like clouds, crazily diffusing in the broken devil world, enveloping everything in it, and being eroded by this devil qi. Everything turned into a chaotic state in an instant, flowing with strange light, extremely terrifying. Du Xiaofu, Lu Xiaoyu, and creation spirit also came into contact with this devil qi, and there was a sizzling sound coming out. Especially Du Xiaofu, his cultivation was slightly inferior, and his body began to corrode. His immortal Xian body was about to be corroded, and his primordial spirit was deeply throbbing. Du Xiaofu frowned and asked in a loud voice, "What is Luo Ho trying to do?" Luo Ho's action was really abnormal. Not only the vast devil qi, but also his own power, which produced a terrible resonance with the surroundings. Under the influence of the resonance, more cracks appeared on the few pieces of the demon world that were still huge, and they started to let out terrifying rumbles. Like enormous mountains, they started to collapse on a large scale. The scene was extremely horrifying. The most shocking thing was that the power of the resonance was still expanding, and it began to spread from this area to further places. In the distant void space, the only remaining world of Earth was also vibrating at a special frequency under the effect of the resonance. The protective power outside the world was about to collapse. Luo Ho is releasing his power. He wants to self-destruct. Creation Spirit said urgently and extremely solemnly. Hearing such words, Lu Xiaoyu and Du Xiaofu were both shocked. If Luo Ho wanted to self-destruct, then the problem was really serious. If a master of the illusionary realm fully released his power, not only would they die without a burial place, but the distant 33 heavens, the divine martial world, and the 3,000 sectors in the distant world would also suffer unimaginable damage. They might even be directly annihilated into nothingness and return to the beginning in advance. Du Xiaofu and Lu Xiaoyu both realized that Luo Ho had truly gone mad. He had been forced to his current state step by step, and there was no way out for him. He would not be like the ancient times, where he would allow himself to be suppressed by Pangu and exalted celestial and seek to return in this life. He had lost his immortal body, and he would not have such a chance again. As long as he died, he would really be annihilated from the world and cease to exist. Therefore, Luo Ho wanted to take a final gamble. He wanted to use all his power to collapse everything in the world and see if he could achieve nothingness. Kik, creation spirit, Du Xiaofu, Lu Xiaoyu, you are very lucky to be able to witness such a day, the arrival of nothingness. This ancestor will lead all of you to see who is right and who is wrong. Luo Ho laughed crazily. His voice was hoarse and gloomy, and his eyes were red. He was staking everything on this last gamble. If he succeeded, the world would turn into nothingness, and he could use this opportunity to spy on the ultimate secret. If he failed, he would die and disappear into nothingness, and all traces of him would be erased from the world. Luo Ho's body began to disintegrate, and his primordial spirit burst out with a dazzling scarlet light, and a terrible power burst out crazily. Creation spirit chased after Luo Ho closely, trying to stop him from self-destructing. But the difference in cultivation between the two was not huge. It was not difficult for creation spirit to hurt Luo Ho, but it was impossible to stop him from accumulating power and finally exploding. We must stop him. Lu Xiaoyu was also very anxious. He no longer cared about his injured body and forced himself to use his power to chase after Luo Ho. Like creation spirit, he only wanted to stop Luo Ho and stop him from self-destructing. Otherwise, regardless of whether or not Luoho could comprehend the final nothingness, just the 33 heavens, the 3,000 boundless worlds, and the Shanwu world, these three massive worlds, would be finished. Without a doubt, the self-destruction of an immortal body powerhouse could definitely sweep across all the big worlds, no matter how far away they were. All the creatures, including the three super powerhouses, might not be able to survive. If they couldn't stop this from happening, then all the efforts they had put in would be for naught. By then, most of the creatures would die, the world would be destroyed, and the foundation would be destroyed. Then, it would really be the end of the world. Chapter 2994. Du Xiaofu, Lu Xiaoyu, and Creation Spirit all felt extremely nervous at this moment. The demon ancestor was clearly going all out. He knew that he was going to lose, and was no match for the three of them. He no longer wanted to fight with his life on the line. Instead, he decided to use self-destruction to destroy the entire world. According to normal theory, if the world was destroyed, it might really cause a chain reaction, causing everything to turn into chaos and eventually return to nothingness. The purpose of the demon ancestor's self-destruction was probably not as simple as destruction. Perhaps he wanted to experience the true power of nothingness at the final moment and gain the opportunity to comprehend it. Since there was no chance to carry out his plan step by step, then he might as well gamble one last time. Perhaps he could still see some hope. If he succeeded, he would definitely be able to break through the boundary of life and death. Even if he self-destructed, he could still be resurrected. Swoosh, swoosh, swoosh! Du Xiaofu, Lu Xiaoyu, and Creation Spirit did not dare to delay. They followed closely behind the demon ancestors' wandering footsteps. Terrifying attacks continuously shot out from the three of them. All kinds of great chaos and chaotic forces shot out, intertwining and dazzling. It was boundlessly terrifying. Every time the three of them attacked, they burst out with the highest power in the world. It was vast, boundless, and unfathomable. However, the demon ancestor ignored all of these powers. The power brewing in his avatar was incomparably powerful. It strangled everything into nothingness, causing Du Xiaofu and the others' attacks to be unable to stop Luoho. However, the strange thing was that the process of Luoho's crazy power gathering seemed to be very long. He was not in a hurry to explode instantly. Instead, he slowly narrowed his old eyes. Waves of aura spread out from Wanming, which was also Luoho's avatar's body, causing the void to tremble. Under Luoho's deliberate control, his figure suddenly took a step forward and disappeared from this space. He entered a world in the 33 heavens called the Abyss Nirvana Toon Heaven. When the demon ancestor's body descended, the entire world instantly shook with a loud bang. Then, one could see that the space was disintegrating inch by inch. The great Daos were collapsing. The order was being annihilated, the universe was being overturned, and the rules were being torn apart. The terrifying chaos swept through every corner of this world in the blink of an eye. It was unstoppable, as if doomsday had arrived instantly. In just this short period of time, it was unknown how many creatures in the Abyss Nirvana Toon Heaven had died. They were annihilated along with the world's collapse. "Stop him!" Du Xiaofu shouted. Although the demon ancestor's speed was the three of them, they could keep up with him. Loses. Lu Xiaofu, Lu, creation, and Du Lu, creation. Lu Xiaofu, Lu, realm. Lu to Lu to Lu's shadows, nirvana, nenin. Jia. Du Xiaofu, Lu Xiaofu, creation spirit. Don't you want to kill this ancestor? Then die with this ancestor. This ancestor will show you what the real nothingness is. The demon ancestor laughed coldly, not caring about the continuous attacks of the three of them. His figure floated, constantly passing through the 33 heavens and the various worlds, releasing a destructive aura all over his body. The Abyss Nirvana Toon Heaven, the 9 yellow suppressing heaven, the full moon sky, the purple wave Hong sky, the great watchtower resurgence heaven, the primal, true misty heaven, and the other worlds were passed by him. The result was that these worlds began to disintegrate on a large scale, turning into chaos. Du Xiaofu and the other two tried their best to save the creatures, but they were still unable to take care of everyone. A large number of creatures still died, tragically. The demon ancestor had gone mad. He no longer considered the consequences. He only wanted to drag all the worlds to the edge of destruction. Lu Xiaofu, Du Xiaofu, and Creation Spirit could not really stop the demon ancestor's footsteps. Under the situation where the demon ancestor's power was madly brewing, it was no longer something that they could stop. The four figures, one in front and three behind, constantly passed through the various worlds. Wherever the demon ancestor passed, it was as if doomsday had suddenly arrived, erupting a terrible scene of destruction. The entire 33 heavens began to have a terrible turbulence. After the 33 worlds collapsed, they turned into a strong chaotic aura, boiling and tumbling. Countless small worlds, under the influence of such power, were like small boats in a storm, constantly swaying. Although the demon ancestor's power did not directly affect these small worlds, one could imagine that with the passage of time, it would not be long before all of these worlds were annihilated and turned into chaos together with the destruction of the 33 heavens. After a few twists and turns, the four of them returned to the vast space of nothingness, one after another. The originally endless and desolate stars had long since disappeared. The brand new demon world of the demon ancestor had completely disintegrated. Only fragments and chaos were left in the sky. In the distance, the experts of the 33 heavens and the 3,000 boundless worlds were engaged in a fierce battle with the new demon ancestor. However, because there were 5 half-step Dao realm experts, Xiaolong, Dibatian, Dongwang, Taixian, Yanghua, and Lu Xintong, there was no suspense in this battle. The demon race was being completely suppressed. Their deaths and injuries were uncountable. Their defeat was already set in stone. It was only a matter of time before the countless demon race members were wiped out. However, all of this could not change the overall situation at all, and it could not end the demon ancestor's rampage. The demon ancestor, who had the formless body, was really too terrifying. His original body was exhausted by Lu Xiaofu and then destroyed by Du Xiaofu, but the remaining avatar was still terrifying. The various great worlds of the 33 heavens collapsed in his hands, transforming into chaos. If it were not for Du Xiaofu, Lu Xiaofu, and Spirit Creation's timely intervention, none of them would have survived. After the 4 of them returned to the space of nothingness, they continued to chase and fight. Lu Xiaofu and Spirit Creation's attacks were not useless against the demon ancestor, but they could not stop his momentum from brewing. At a certain moment, Raha's aura suddenly rose to a peak, as if it had reached the peak. It did not continue to rise, but continued to brew, and became more and more vigorous. His face began to swell red, and his old body began to swell as well. He was as round as a ball that had been filled with air. Keek, keek! Raha's final laughter came out of his mouth, and he roared crazily. Du Xiaofu, Lu Xiaofu, Spirit Creation, come and pursue the ultimate nothingness with this ancestor. Keek! This ancestor guarantees that if I succeed, I'll reconstruct your lives at the first possible moment. I'll let you see just how ridiculously wrong you were. Keek! The demon ancestor laughed loudly, and his owl-like voice penetrated all the worlds, covering the sound of the great Tao, making people panic. His power did not continue to rise. Suddenly it froze, and then the entire world seemed to have stopped. Oh no! Lu Xiaofu, Spirit Creation, and Du Xiaofu all knew that Raha would not be able to control his power at this time, and he would really self-destruct. In the next moment, a terrifying and boundless power would sweep out and devour everything, and then turn into a terrifying chaotic vortex, erupting with an unparalleled devouring power, causing all the worlds to be quickly swallowed by this vortex. In the end, it was possible that all the worlds would be pulled in and then turned into nothingness. Is there no other way? Du Xiaofu's eyes flashed as he murmured. At this last moment, his heart calmed down. His gaze fell on the demon ancestor. Du Xiaofu's heart was calm, and he was still thinking of a way to deal with Rahu. Suddenly, at a certain moment, the purple-robed youth's gaze swept over a certain place. But then that light blue spherical object instantly pulled his gaze back. Seeing such an object, Du Xiaofu was stunned at first, and then seemed to think of something, and his figure suddenly shot out. Junior brother. Seeing his action, Lu Xiaofu called out softly. However, right at this moment, Raha's clone's body stopped expanding, and then it suddenly exploded. A terrifying power instantly spread out and swept across the area. Lu Xiaofu and Spirit Creation even narrowed their eyes slightly. They knew that the two of them were so close that it was impossible for them to escape with their lives. In addition, the powerhouses who were fighting in the 33 heavens and the 3,000 greater worlds in the distance would soon die one by one. This was the self-destruction of a powerhouse in the enchanting realm, and there was no need to doubt its power, not to mention the creatures in the world. Even the greater worlds would be crushed into chaos under this power. In the end, we still can't stop him. Lu Xiaofu sighed softly in his heart, and Spirit Creation's expression dimmed. After Raha's body exploded, the blood-red light burst out like a vast blood sun, stinging the eyes of the two, causing them to close their eyes involuntarily. The two of them only felt that everything should be over now. Even after many years of hard work, they still could not defeat the demon ancestor. Countless worlds would continue to exist, and the creatures could not survive. Everything would cease to exist. This, perhaps, was really like the saying in the legends, everything came from nothingness and went to nothingness. This was the law, and no one could stop it. No one knew when it would happen. A huge vortex began to form at the place where the demon ancestor self-destructed. Lu Xiaofu and Spirit Creation could both sense it. The void was trembling and collapsing, and the world in the distance was collapsing. Everything made a terrible roar, and it was coming toward Rahu, wanting to be swallowed up. Lu Xiaofu and Spirit Creation could not help but sigh. The world was so wonderful. The so-called nothingness was probably not just a legend. Who could say for sure whether the consequences brought by the demon ancestor were the result of all natural evolution? For Lu Xiaofu and Spirit Creation, they were not afraid of death, but they were afraid of dying in vain. At their level of cultivation, what they pursued was not just life. What they wanted to know was the greatest secret in the world. It's a pity that there's no chance to decipher everything. Lu Xiaofu sighed softly and said with emotion. He stood still with Spirit Creation, waiting for the power of the demon ancestor to come down, annihilate their bodies, crush their primordial spirits, and then destroy them. However, in the next moment, they seemed to feel that something was wrong. The terrible power that they imagined did not come down immediately. Instead, all the terrifying movements began to become smaller and smaller. Under the piercing of the terrible blood-red light, the two opened their eyes at the same time and squinted to look ahead. As soon as they opened their eyes, they saw a scene that shocked them. They saw a young man in a purple robe standing in front of them, pushing a small blue world in his hand, which was pressing down on the demon ancestor. This young man in a purple robe was Du Xiaofu without a doubt. The blue world in his hand was no stranger to Spirit Creation and Lu Xiaofu. It was the small world called Earth. Earth, Lu Xiaofu murmured. He looked at the scene in front of him and was extremely shocked. At the beginning, when Du Xiaofu went toward Earth, he had probably guessed what the other party wanted to do. There were too many mysteries in this world, and there were huge secrets. Even Lu Xiaofu and Spirit Creation could not see clearly, because they knew that Earth was related to the great god Pengu. On a certain level, it was not easy for them to destroy Earth, let alone use it to resist the power of Raha's self-destruction. However, Lu Xiaofu and Spirit Creation were not fools. Since all the worlds could not be saved by Rahu's self-destruction, how could Earth be saved? If Du Xiaofu was willing to use it as a shield, so be it. But they did not expect that when they opened their eyes, they would really see Earth blocking the power of the demon ancestors' self-destruction. Buzz, buzz, buzz. Waves of terrible vibrations came from the place of Rahu's self-destruction, constantly swallowing everything, as if to pull the 33 heavens, the 3,000 boundless worlds, and the divine battle world into that black hole. However, when Earth was dragged in by Du Xiaofu, it was directly blocked in the eye of the vortex, where Rahu's self-destruction was. In the previous terrible battle, Earth was like a withered leaf, wantonly destroyed. It was only waiting for the last layer of the energy shield to protect it from destruction. Who would have thought that at this time, when it was used to block Rahu's self-destruction vortex, it suddenly burst out with an unparalleled light, and a vast power rose and swirled. Although under the power of the demon ancestor, it looked like it would shatter at any time. The power it had displayed was terrifying enough. Do it, kill Rahu completely. Du Xiaofu burst out a loud cry from his throat. He controlled Earth to press down on the demon ancestor, enduring the terrible impact. In a short time, he had spat out a lot of blood. The power of the self-destruction was blocked and absorbed by Earth, but a part of it was still transmitted to him. Kill! Lu Xiaofu and Spirit Creation shouted, and before Du Xiaofu shouted, they had already attacked at the same time. After being stunned at the beginning, they quickly saw the situation in front of them and knew what to do. At this time, it was not the time to investigate how Du Xiaofu knew the reason for Earth's uniqueness, nor was it the time to discuss why such a small world suddenly began to erupt with terrifying power. What they wanted to do was to take advantage of the time when Rahu was suppressed to completely end his life and break the vortex that burst out with monstrous, devouring power. Chi, 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 in Lu Xiaofu's hand, bloody slash slashed out again, and all of them hit on the terrifying vortex. In the hole, Rahu's cold voice could still be heard. Swoosh, swoosh, swoosh. Spirit Creation also struck out again and again, attacking with all his strength together with Lu Xiaofu. The strength of the two illusionary realm experts burst out, and it was extremely terrifying. No. How could this be? Vaguely, one could hear Rahu's fluctuations, which were filled with endless panic and loss. Obviously, his remaining consciousness also sensed the current situation and knew that his strength was completely suppressed by Earth's world. Moreover, under the continuous attacks of Lu Xiaofu and Spirit Creation, the power of his vortex not only did not become stronger and stronger, but it gradually weakened. If this continued, there was no doubt that his life would end, and he would no longer be able to destroy all the worlds to witness the power of nothingness. This is Panga's power. No. This is impossible. How can he have such powerful strength? Isn't he already dead and it's difficult to revive? A series of spiritual fluctuations came out of the vortex and passed to the senses of Du Xiaofu, Lu Xiaofu, and Spirit Creation. Luo Ho was shocked to the extreme. No one knew Pan Gu better than he did. The two of them had been sworn enemies since ancient times. What really shocked Rahu was that even if he was self-destructing, his power could still be suppressed by Panga's Earth. This was unbelievable. How can Panga be so strong? This is absolutely impossible. Rahu had begun to speak incoherently, and he had no idea why it was so difficult. Panga's strength was similar to his, and neither was weaker than the other. But now, the horror shown by this Earth had exceeded the demon ancestors' understanding. Rahu, the realm you tried so hard to reach, I didn't expect Pangu to have done it. Du Xiaofu's body was greatly damaged, but he still gritted his teeth and sneered at the demon ancestor. Impossible. This is absolutely impossible. Pangu can't do this. Even if he becomes stronger, it's definitely not the ultimate power of nothingness. Rahu was still releasing such spiritual fluctuations, and he seemed to be in disbelief. He couldn't accept the facts presented in front of him, but Du Xiaofu couldn't let go of such an opportunity to attack him. Demon ancestor, don't you even have the courage to admit defeat? Even I, Du Xiaofu, a postnatal creature, can see that Panga's power has far surpassed yours. Perhaps he has grasped the true nothingness, which is why he can suppress you. Chapter 2995. Du Xiaofu looked at Rahu coldly and said aloud. The world of earth was in his hands, and he used all his strength to suppress the power vortex created by the self-explosion of the demon ancestor. Under the impact of the terrifying power of the demon ancestor, the entire small world was also shaking unimaginably. However, the world of earth was indeed extraordinary. It actually resolved the power of the demon ancestor's self-explosion. Impossible, it's impossible for Pangu to do it. Even I couldn't do it. How could Panga do it? Nothing. That's nothing. If it wasn't at the moment when the world was destroyed into nothingness, how could it be comprehended? Hearing what Du Xiaofu said, Rahu kept shouting. Although his body no longer existed at this time, and his expression could not be seen, one could still hear the disappointment and disbelief in his words. Just as Du Xiaofu had said, if Pangu had truly grasped nothingness, then Pangu would definitely be above Rahu. In this way, what ability did he have to compete with Pangu? It was just that Rahu did not dare to believe it. Even at this juncture, he was still unwilling to admit that Pangu was actually ahead of him. This was simply unacceptable, and it was at this moment that Du Xiaofu's voice resounded again, as though he was narrating some profound truth of the world. In other words, the power of Pangu is not nothing. But one thing is certain, this power is definitely beyond the realm of nothingness. Demon ancestor Rahu, have you ever thought that maybe the nothing that you think is the ultimate is not the ultimate at all? At the end, Du Xiaofu raised his eyebrows unconsciously. As soon as these words came out, it was obvious that the demon ancestor's destructive energy suddenly paused, as if he was shocked. It was as if he had heard something incredible, which had a huge impact on him. For a time, Rahu, who had been emitting unwilling spiritual fluctuations, fell silent and did not speak for a long time. Not only him, but even Creation Spirit and Lu Xiaoyu, who were attacking Luo Ho, were stunned for a moment. Du Xiaofu's words seemed to have opened a brand new door for them, making them suddenly realize that something was wrong, especially for the demon ancestor and Creation Spirit. It was as if the things they had been pursuing for countless years had been wrong from the very beginning. Du Xiaofu's words were like a terrifying sound from the heavens, causing Luo Ho to be silent and the spirit creation to palpitate. Yes, the so-called nothing was only the result of the deduction of the 3,000 ancient gods and demons when they were in chaos. In the end, this sort of deduction became the final conclusion that everyone agreed with. Under such circumstances, the chaos and all creatures of the chaos was the chaos, and chaos, came to the chaos, and chaos. Perhaps at some point in time, something would be born from the nothing, and a brand new chaos world would appear again. But at that time, it would no longer be their era. Among the 3,000 ancient gods and demons of the chaos, no one seemed to have questioned the nothing. They had never imagined that there might still be another profound realm that could be developed above the imageless realm. In other words, the nothing in the legend was not the beginning and the end of everything. It was just a definition given by the creatures. If this was the case, then the 3,000 ancient gods and demons born in the ancient chaos were all wrong, including Pangu. Of course, Pangu might have jumped out of such a cage at this time and found the right path. This could be easily seen from the fact that the Earth world was firmly suppressing the demon ancestor. Kill! Du Xiaofu couldn't help but shout when he didn't feel Rahu's consciousness fluctuation for a long time. At the same time that he controlled the earth to suppress Rahu, His body flew downwards and charged towards the energy vortex. The purple gold, heavenly palace in his hand, cut the great Tao and cut the mortal world. It was terrifying. As soon as he moved, Lu Xiaoyu and creation's spirit naturally came to their senses and attacked at the same time. Under the full strength of these three people, a terrifying light burst out crazily. The terrifying energy formed an endless turbulent torrent and rushed into the vortex caused by Rahu's self-destruction. Boom, 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 boom. In the violent and boundless vibration, the vortex was severely consumed, and the power of Rahu's self-destruction became weaker and weaker. And under the suppression of the Earth world, it couldn't really explode. The entire area seemed to be boiling. Everything turned into chaos and jumped crazily, like boiling water rising. Du Xiaofu, Lu Xiaoyu, and creation spirit did their best to destroy the terrible vortex with the help of the Earth world suppression. No! After such a terrible roar, the demon ancestor let out an unwilling roar, but then he was directly swallowed by the energy sea. His last wisp of vitality was annihilated, his consciousness disappeared, and he was erased from this world. Since the ancient chaos, the demon ancestor had begun to plan to control everything and then destroy everything in order to pursue the ultimate nothingness. All of this set off endless bloody and terrifying battles. But who would have thought that when he was finally defeated, Du Xiaofu, a postnatal creature, would use extremely sharp words to ruthlessly stab a knife into his heart. Even though the demon ancestor died, he was filled with a strong sense of unwillingness. Huff! Huff! Du Xiaofu, Lu Xiaoyu, and creation's spirit finally breathed a sigh of relief. The demon ancestor was finally killed, and everything was over. The terrifying demon clan was also crushed, and the greatest threat to the world's living beings had been suppressed. The 3,000 boundless worlds and the divine battle world were completely preserved without any damage. It was a pity that the vast 33 heavens, under the deliberate destruction of the demon ancestor, had been destroyed, and everywhere was a scene of decay. Fortunately, most of the living beings had escaped with their lives under the help of Lu Xiaoyu and the others. Rumble! The three of them sighed with emotion. Just as they were about to do something to the 33 heavens that had been destroyed, they heard a terrifying and boundless rumbling sound. In the next moment, the three of them felt a huge space suddenly expand and spread out quickly, enveloping everything inside. In just an instant, Du Xiaofu felt as if he had entered a warm current. He was extremely happy, and his entire body was wrapped in endless energy, as if every pore on his body was breathing happily. This is pieces of multicolored brilliance burst forth, like a bright rainbow crossing the sky from east to west, incomparably magnificent. Du Xiaofu, Lu Xiaoyu, and creation spirit were directly in a beautiful world, as if this was a pure land, the most supreme and mysterious place in the world. They could feel that this world was expanding endlessly, and soon in the distance Xiaolong, Dibatian, Dongwang Taixian, Yanghua, Lu Xintong, Lu Jingyin, Little Xingxing, Du Xiaoyao, Du Yunlong, and the other powerhouses of the various worlds were all in the middle. The expansion of this space did not stop, and it continued to expand. Everywhere it passed, including the broken 33 heavens, were all covered by it. The various worlds and small worlds that were constantly being destroyed, which had caused a chain reaction, soon quieted down after the expansion of this space, and there was no more movement. Great God Pangu is really still alive, and he has comprehended a new level, Lu Xiaoyu murmured, standing side by side with creation's spirit and Du Xiaofu inside. The three of them, as the strongest among all the living creatures, could feel the most profound things. This space that had suddenly expanded had evolved from the world of Earth. It swept through everything at the speed of lightning and enveloped everything within it. The 33 heavens had been destroyed, and countless small worlds had been affected by the disaster. They collapsed one after another, and the living creatures in them died miserably. However, when the space enveloped them, everything stopped. All the living creatures had obtained a new space, and those broken worlds seemed to have melted and integrated into the huge new space. Such a scene was simply too spectacular. Compared to the real creation of the world, it was even more shocking. The earth is so terrible, and it was transformed from Panga's body. He has comprehended something new, and he has surpassed Wu Xiang. Creation's spirit narrowed his eyes slightly, carefully feeling the general situation of this space, and exclaimed in amazement. Du Xiaofu and Lu Xiaoyu weren't idle either. They were both immersed in the unique charm of this space, carefully feeling it. They both found an amazing fact that this space was very stable, and it was much more tenacious than the original 33 heavens, the 3,000 universal worlds, the Xinwu world, and the demon world. It was very difficult to destroy. Moreover, there was a special law passing through this space, which seemed to be derived from the power of the 4 primitive laws. But it was also more powerful than the 4 primitive laws. This feeling was very strange, and it gave the 3 of them the most intuitive feeling that this space was a plane of a higher level than the normal world. Just like the difference between the big worlds and the small worlds in the 33 heavens. Junior brother, how did you know about this final secret? Lu Xiaoyu suddenly looked at Du Xiaofu and asked. His eyes were filled with complicated emotions because of the space that had evolved from the Earth's world. Although he was asking Du Xiaofu, he also knew that his junior brother was just guessing, thinking of something that others did not dare to think of, and subverting the inherent understanding of the past. The appearance of this world and everything here were different. Even Lu Xiaoyu, creation spirit, and Du Xiaofu had not felt it before. What puzzled them the most was that the words that Du Xiaofu had said to the demon ancestor before were confirmed in this scene. Was the ultimate power of this world really nothing? Was there no other power? It was clear that Pangu had taken that crucial step and obtained a brand new, powerful strength. This power might be related to nothing, but it might also be unrelated. Only when Pangu really woke up would they know, or when the 3 of them could take that step, they would naturally understand. Senior brother, senior creation spirit, I seem to have understood something. Du Xiaofu suddenly frowned. This was not a sign of understanding, but a sign of thinking. After saying this to the 2 people beside him, he sat down cross-legged in the void, closed his eyes, and entered a state of meditation. Such a move surprised Lu Xiaoyu and creation spirit. Du Xiaofu, this brat, was indeed extraordinary. He actually had some insights at this time. Perhaps for his current level, he had not been exposed to too many things, and his thinking was not as rigid as theirs, because it was easier for him to accept new things. Of course, Lu Xiaoyu and creation spirit's hearts were particularly throbbing. Different cognition from the past impacted their thinking. Watching Du Xiaofu fall into silence, Lu Xiaoyu also slowly found a place to sit down. After gently letting out a breath, he also allowed himself to enter a state of comprehension. 2 postnatal creatures. Who would have thought that these 2 boys would be so outstanding that even the 3rd-class divine demons in the chaos would feel ashamed? Creation spirit sighed deeply as he watched the 2's movements. Du Xiaofu and Lu Xiaoyu were both postnatal creatures, and their starting point could be said to be very low. However, they were able to walk all the way to where they were today, leaving countless living beings behind them, leaving them in the dust. It could only be said that these 2 people were a bit too abnormal. Now, the world of Earth had undergone a terrifying expansion, bringing new rules and order. Du Xiaofu and Lu Xiaoyu immediately began to try to understand. The demon ancestor is dead, and the tribulation is over. The expedition is over. After a long while, creation's spirit stopped thinking about it. Instead, he whispered softly, but his voice was so loud that it spread across all the major worlds. Hearing an expert speak, all the creatures pricked up their ears and listened carefully. At the request of creation spirit, countless creatures began to reorganize. Because the 33 heavens had been destroyed and no longer existed, all the survivors were residing in this new world. After the brief order was issued, every place was in an uproar, erupting with unprecedented cheers and shouts. Victory! We've won! The demon ancestor is dead, and we've survived! Ha 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 ha! The demon ancestor is dead, and the demon race has been completely destroyed. The world is finally at peace. All the powerhouses of the 33 heavens, the 3,000 great thousand worlds, and the Shen Wu world erupted with earth-shaking screams. They were inexplicably excited. Some people were overjoyed, but at the same time, hot tears flowed down unconsciously. Tens of thousands of years ago, when everyone knew that the demon race would return to the world, countless creatures began to be covered with a layer of shadow. That was the demon race, the powerful existence that ended the entire ancient era. As the layers of secrets were revealed, everyone was more and more shocked to find that the strength of the demon race had refreshed their understanding of it time and time again, especially the demon ancestor, who had an indestructible body. Even the combined forces of powerful beings who had opened up 2 worlds could not truly kill him. All of this seemed to have destined one thing, and that was that the 33 heavens would eventually be destroyed. The 3,000 great thousand worlds and the Shenwu world would also become the demon realm. All creatures would die a tragic death and become food for the demon race. However, such a great terror had come to an abrupt end today. The demon ancestor's original body died at the hands of Du Xiaofu. His powerful doppelganger was also destroyed by the 3 of them. The powerhouses of the various major worlds had experienced feelings of despair several times. But when such a wonderful outcome truly appeared, they could not suppress the emotions in their hearts at all. Countless people shed tears, because this victory was extremely difficult, and also because many creatures died in battle, unable to revive. The ruler of the 3,000 great thousand worlds, Lu Xiaoyu, and the rock emperor of the Daluo heaven, Du Xiaofu, both of them have contributed greatly. If it weren't for their leadership, how could we have fought against the demon race? How could we have fought against the demon ancestor? In the end, someone made such a statement. After everyone heard this, they silently nodded as they thought of the man in green and the young man in purple. The image of these 2 was destined to become the most supreme existence in the eyes of all the powerhouses from different worlds. The world gradually calmed down, and all of the living beings settled down step by step, living in this brand new world. It is said that the ruler of the 3,000 great thousand worlds, Lu Xiaoyu and the rock emperor, Du Xiaofu, are comprehending a new power. It is very likely that they will break through the avatar realm and step into an even more vast world. Amidst the tranquility, a creature mysteriously transmitted such words. After hearing this, many people were shocked. Above the avatar realm? Is this true? Aren't the 9 great realms all the realms that have been passed down since ancient times? Are they going to open up a new realm? Someone spoke like this, carrying deep shock. The ruler of the 3,000 great thousand worlds, Lu Xiaoyu, and the rock emperor of the Daluo heaven, Du Xiaofu, had endless respect and reverence in their hearts. Most of the creatures did not know about great god Panga's situation. They only knew that the world had changed, and Lu Xiaoyu and Du Xiaofu seemed to be opening up a new world. Once Boss and Du Xiaofu successfully break through the new powerful realm, it is conceivable that all the rules and order of the world will be rewritten. At that time, all the traces of the great Tao will probably change. At that time, the world should show a completely different scene. I am very much looking forward to it. Xiaolong let out such a sigh, filled with endless yearning. Indeed, if the great Tao rules and order of the world were rewritten, it would cause unimaginable changes to the entire world. At that time, perhaps the world would show some changes that people looked forward to. Just like Du Xiaofu and Lu Xiaoyu, after coming into contact with great god Panga's new power, they quickly fell into a state of comprehension. Once they succeeded, presumably, their realms would be above the Avatar realm. Chapter 2996. In the blink of an eye, another 10,000 plus years had passed by hastily like a white steed flashing through a crack in the sky. The original world of Earth was now completely different. It had changed from a tiny place to a vast and endless space. The 33 heavens, which had been destroyed by the demon ancestor, had completely merged with expanded Earth. It was the same for the countless small worlds. Countless living beings were able to live peacefully in such a space. This was a brand new world. Compared to the 33 heavens, the 3,000 boundless worlds, and the divine battle world, it had a completely different and unique aura. The power of laws here is more abundant, and the world is more stable. I never thought that a world could grow to such a level. After staying here for so many years, I feel like I'm getting closer and closer to the realm of enlightenment. It's not impossible to reach that level. Xiaolong said softly. He wasn't the only one who felt this way. Di Batian, Dongwang Taixian, Yanghua, and Lu Xintong all felt the same way. This brand new world, which had evolved from Earth, was more complete in terms of the great Tao. It was also more beneficial to their understanding. The few half-step enlightenment powerhouses felt that they were not far from breaking through. Needless to say, all of this was caused by Pangu. They learned from Lu Xiaoyu, creation spirit, and the others that the original Earth was the place where Panga's body had manifested. It was also because of this that the living beings here were the most unique. When the world of Earth was completely expanded, the original mortals began to come into contact with the path of cultivation and erupted with unimaginably powerful talents. After the initial spiritual shock, the living beings of Earth were able to gain a firm foothold in the world of cultivation. Of course, the most important reason was that the big shots of the various large worlds were willing to take care of them out of respect for Pangu. However, the talent and comprehension they displayed was absolutely terrifying. However, this was not the most important thing. What was interesting was that the natives of Earth had begun to use so-called technological methods to study the mysteries of cultivation. For example, they no longer needed complicated equipment and materials. Through a series of long and meticulous processes, they could create some legendary weapons of mass destruction with the ability of cultivators. For example, the humans on Earth used ultra-high voltage electricity to stimulate the human body, thereby achieving the effect of tempering the physical body and primordial spirit of cultivators. This was comparable to how Du Xiaofu and the others used the purple lightning in the purple lightning profound cauldron to temper themselves. The only difference was that there were only a few purple thunder profound cauldrons in total. They were not easy to come by, and not everyone could enjoy them. However, for the humans on Earth, with their profound cultivation and scientific methods, ultra-high voltage electricity was a piece of cake. What an interesting bunch. If they continue like this, I'm afraid that not only will the world's laws change, but even their cultivation methods and processes will be vastly different. A powerhouse said in shock after learning about this. It could only be said that the methods of the humans on Earth were simply too strange. Under their continuous research, it was likely that in the near future, they would really be able to overturn many traditional cultivation methods. According to what I know, they seem to be researching something called something wave that can improve the talent of cultivators. If they can succeed, it will be really terrifying. Some people were more well-informed and had heard such news. The humans on Earth seemed to have opened up a new world of treasures and began all kinds of crazy exploration and research. Under the instructions of some powerhouses, many people from the 33 heavens, the 3,000 boundless worlds, and Shenwu world were not allowed to disturb them. This meant that they wanted to give the creatures on Earth enough time to grow up. After all, one day, they would also have to face the unified laws of the entire world and integrate into some challenges. Xiaoyu and Xiaofu, those two guys, actually went into seclusion for such a long time after the final battle. I wonder what they comprehended. In these 10,000 years, Yu Yuqian would often frown and grumble in dissatisfaction. After Du Xiaofu and Lu Xiaoyu killed the demon ancestor, the world on Earth was rapidly expanding and creating a new rhythm. This caused the two of them to gain great enlightenment, so they directly entered a state of enlightenment and went into seclusion. And this time, they went into seclusion for 10,000 years. Back then, the powerhouses of the various large worlds were excited because they had defeated the demon ancestor and annihilated the demon race. They wanted to celebrate, but the two fellows who had contributed the most were always in seclusion. Therefore, such a matter was left unsettled in the end. This made many powerhouses of the various large worlds feel very helpless. However, everyone also knew that the changes in this new world might be a rare opportunity for the two of them. They could obtain great enlightenment from it, so no one would disturb them. Shanwu world hasn't stopped expanding these past few years. Right now, that place has far surpassed the 33 heavens. Obviously, when the time comes, another vast world will be formed. Someone exclaimed. The changes in Shenwu world were truly shocking. That world was originally an unremarkable small world, but after all these years, its overall size was even greater than the 33 heavens combined. The spiritual energy and resources inside were also incomparably rich. Everyone knew in their hearts that this was all because of Du Xiaofu. The stronger his cultivation, the more prosperous Shen Wu world would become. Ever since he broke through to the Tao Bearer realm, Shen Wu world had undergone a metamorphosis. Now that he had gone into seclusion for 10,000 years, as his cultivation improved, everything was still developing. This was a wonderful trend that benefited all living beings in Shenwu world. Other than Du Xiaofu and Lu Xiaoyu, creation's spirit disappeared from the vision of all living beings. No one knew where he went or what he wanted to do. Perhaps only when Du Xiaofu and Lu Xiaoyu came out of seclusion would they be able to find his whereabouts. Rumble! Suddenly one day, Shenwu world once again let out a terrifying rumble, causing the entire world to violently shake. This situation caused many living beings to be shocked for a moment, but they quickly calmed down. They had already experienced similar things countless times, but this time it was much more violent than before. Of course, their overall strength had also increased by countless times compared to before. Because they were able to deal with it more calmly, they were no longer shocked. The Rock Emperor is about to break through again. This time he's about to reach the enchanting realm. A powerhouse sat in shock and came to this conclusion. The only person who could cause such a change in Shenwu world was the Rock Emperor, Du Xiaofu. Him breaking through to the enchanting realm was within everyone's expectations. But for him to reach this step after only 10,000 years of seclusion, it still shocked many people for a long time. After Shenwu world's change, it continued like this. But not long after, Du Xiaofu himself finally returned to the vision of all living beings. Everyone was absolutely overjoyed about this. Greetings, Rock Emperor. Many people saw the purple-robed figure appear in the void of space and respectfully bowed down. They knew that this young man was already standing at the peak of this world. Other than the master of the 3,000 worlds, Lu Xiaoyu, and the creator of the 3,000 worlds, no one else could compare to him. Du Xiaofu's appearance attracted countless powerhouses, causing people from all over the world to make a move. He hadn't appeared in 10,000 years, but now that he appeared, many people wanted to see him. But Du Xiaofu didn't care about these people at all. He only gave a simple greeting to the people he was familiar with, then continued to focus on another place. Senior brother, this is... In Du Xiaofu's perception, Lu Xiaoyu was undergoing a huge transformation. There was a ferocious energy accumulating in his body, as if it was about to explode. Not long after, a terrifying light rushed out of his body and brazenly shot out of this new world. This light came from the chaos, but when it entered the outside world, it turned into yin and yang qi and continued to evolve. Soon, a brand new world was born. The master of the 3,000 worlds has opened up a new world. He did it. In addition to Pangu, Heavenly Lord Daluo, Demon Ancestor Rahu, and Creation Spirit, Lu Xiaoyu has finally opened up his own world. Most importantly, he's a postnatal life form. There's still a gap between him and the chaos life forms like Pangu. It's not easy. The master of the 3,000 worlds, Lu Xiaoyu, is really abnormal. When many living beings learned of the situation, they all exclaimed in admiration. What kind of strength was needed to open up a brand new world? Only a few people in this world had ever done it, and those people before were all chaos life forms, so they had a natural advantage. I wonder when the Rock Emperor Du Xiaofu will open up his own world. Some people were shocked by Lu Xiaoyu's strength and thought of this. News of the Rock Emperor's breakthrough to the imageless realm spread like wildfire. Everyone agreed that the purple-robed youth would soon open up his own world. This world is very interesting. Looking at the brand new world that Lu Xiaoyu had opened up, Du Xiaofu sighed in amazement after a brief investigation. With the help of Panga's expansion of Earth, I gained a lot of enlightenment and integrated it into my own world. That's why the great Tao laws of this world have a brand new power. When everything calmed down, Lu Xiaoyu appeared in front of Du Xiaofu and said with a smile, "We can still comprehend more of Panga's power. But senior brother, you've opened up a world like this, which is already very impressive. As long as it grows up smoothly, I'm afraid this world's potential will be much greater than the few worlds that were opened up in ancient times." Du Xiaofu praised and said aloud, "The great Tao is endless. Maybe we were wrong in the past, and the concept of nothing does exist in this world. But with our cultivation, we're still very far away from that stage. Or rather, the so-called nothing can't threaten us at all." Lu Xiaoyu suddenly sighed softly and said, "Yes, the Earth world that Panga created is enough to explain the problem." Du Xiaofu nodded in agreement. The first person to deny nothing was Du Xiaofu, although what he said to the demon ancestor was just to provoke him. But the truth was that what he said was extremely reasonable, and it wasn't nonsense. The changes in the world of Earth and the new world form that Lu Xiaoyu had created proved that his theory was correct. Nothing might exist, but it wasn't necessarily the ultimate. Or perhaps it was the ultimate, but it was still out of reach for everyone now. Buzz, just as Du Xiaofu and Lu Xiaoyu were discussing, a faint buzzing sound suddenly spread out. The buzzing was very faint, but it was still keenly captured by the two of them. "It seems like someone turned over." Du Xiaofu frowned slightly and looked at Lu Xiaoyu. "It's Pangu. He's about to wake up." Lu Xiaoyu's expression became serious as he said. As soon as the sentence came out, Du Xiaofu's heart skipped a beat. He carefully sensed it, and sure enough, it was as Lu Xiaoyu had said. He discovered that in the world of Earth, there seemed to be an infinitely powerful creature awakening. And this life was undoubtedly Pangu, especially Lu Xiaoyu. After sensing such a movement, his primordial spirit was faintly trembling, as if the blood in his body was about to burn. In addition, the original creatures on Earth seemed to contain a ball of fire in their chests. Pangu is about to wake up, and many secrets will be revealed. Lu Xiaoyu softly whispered. His eyes were filled with anticipation. But this process is still early. We have to wait a bit longer. Du Xiaofu was silent for a moment, then came to this conclusion. He was also very much looking forward to Panga's awakening. Du Xiaofu and Lu Xiaoyu were both extremely longing for the level above avatars. Perhaps when Pangu appears, he would already be at that level. "That's right. Let's go back and wait first." Lu Xiaoyu nodded and said as such. Then Du Xiaofu didn't say anything else. He stretched out a finger and tore space apart. "It's finally coming back." Through the crack in space, seeing the scene on the other side of the void, Du Xiaofu's lips began to curl into a smile. He felt unprecedentedly relaxed. It was as if ever since he could remember, he had never felt as free of pressure as he did today. This kind of feeling was really too comfortable. "Senior brother, I'll be going first." Du Xiaofu smiled, then stepped out into the Shen Wu world. "There! Du Tingxian, Du Xiaojing, Du Xiaoyao, Du Yunlong I Wuming, Morong Yuruo, Zhen Qingchen, Yi Piaoling, Jialo Juiyu, Yi Zijin, Sima Muhan, Dongli Qingqing, Ouyang Shuang, Qi Eshi, Zi Xian, Zhu Shui, Du Xiaoqing, Little Tiger, Du Xiaoba, Du Xiaohuang, and many other figures were all waiting for his return.